someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio with your host, Roger Piper. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about home improvement. Listen tomorrow at noon for Home Answers, right here on AM 560 The Answer. Sponsored in part by Level 10 Coatings and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
It's June 19th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Martini Day.
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Vodka, of course, for James Bond, whose order is famous. But the martini was originally called the Martinez, named after the California gold rush for the town of Martinez, where it was invented. Also on this day in 1865, abolition of slavery announced by Union Army General Gordon Granger, proclaiming freedom in Texas. It's known as Juneteenth, a federal holiday. President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation officially ended slavery in Texas and the other states in rebellion against the Union Army almost 2.5 years earlier. But a lack of Union forces in the rebel state of Texas made the order difficult to enforce. Actor James Gandolfini, TV's larger-than-life mobster Tony Soprano, dies at the age of 51.
The strong, silent type.
He died of a heart attack while on vacation in Rome, Italy. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
So Ryan and I came to the decision to get life insurance when I was pregnant with our first son. He really wanted us to be taken care of if something happened to him. He provided for our family in life and also after his death. I think that would make him proud. Ethos makes it fast and easy to get life insurance. Apply in minutes and get same-day coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Pay testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
The Supreme Court's decision striking down racial gerrymandering. The Supreme Court said enough is enough, and in this ruling, the justices raised the bar. They said if you want to challenge a map as discriminatory, you now have to prove actual intent, not just point to statistical disparities.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roof, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One. your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
America turns 250 this year, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West is coming to the Chicago area to help celebrate. Thursday, July 9th at Chevy Chase Country Club in Wheeling, Illinois. Join an evening of patriotism, purpose, and our God-given right to bear arms. Dinner buffet and cash bar included. General admission is just $50. Want to meet Colonel West one-on-one? VIP reception tickets are $250. Go to faireramerica.ticketbud.com for tickets. This is your America. Celebrate her.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are three companies quietly building a $1 trillion triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These three companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on three companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to TrillionDollarTriangle.com to find out which three companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. TrillionDollarTriangle.com. That's TrillionDollarTriangle.com.
Every morning, students and faculty fill your school's hallways. And every morning, parents trust you to know who's there with them. With ID Supply, that trust is earned and visible. From student and staff ID cards to secure visitor badge systems, ID Supply helps you instantly identify who belongs on campus at a glance, while keeping your entire facility safer. Visitor badges expire automatically, so no one stays longer than they should. And parents, they can feel confident knowing their school has a system in place. Need supplies? We've got you covered. ID card printers, ribbons, and custom lanyards in your school colors. Most orders ship same day. Parents, if your child's school doesn't have a visitor ID system, ask them about ID Supply, because knowing who's on campus shouldn't be a question. Get 10% off your first order with code SCHOOL10. That's SCHOOL10. Visit idsupply.com or call 800-647-5562. Again, that's 800-647-5562. ID Supply. trusted by schools for over 20 years.
It's hard to deny the constant attack of negative emotions that flood us online. The fear, anxiety, worry, and confusion that come from the constant stream of news and social media can be overwhelming. There is a way to escape this never-ending cycle and find peace, hope, and joy in your daily life. Christianity.com, with a wide range of daily devotionals, biblical answers to life's toughest questions, and insightful Bible study articles from your favorite pastors and authors on current events and issues, Christianity.com provides a little heaven on earth. Go to Christianity.com now.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hello, this is Kevin Coyne, Chairman of the DuPage County GOP, inviting you to join us for our second annual summer kickoff and celebration of America's 250th birthday. Our event will be in Addison at American Tap on June 24th. Doors will open at 6:30 p.m. And we'll hear from our new Illinois GOP Chairman, Bob Grogan, State Senator Seth Lewis, and State Representative Jennifer Santolicro. We'll also have a special appearance from former Cubs pitching great Steve Trout. Tickets are $75 and can be purchased in advance at our website, DuPageGOP.com. Paid for by DuPage County Republican Central Committee.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor-rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio-video and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfort. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com, that's K-O-L-E digital.com, or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you, 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
This is Hugh Hewitt for Townhall.com. The Winter Fortress, the epic mission to sabotage Hitler's atomic bomb, is a 2016 book by Neil Bascom. It tells the harrowing story of Norwegian commandos who attacked the German site at Wehrmacht in World War II. It was the Nazis' only plant for the mass production of heavy water, on which they had placed their primary bet to produce atomic weapons during World War II. I wish it had been converted to the film that it was option B, because it would have been a shortcut for those who don't understand why Donald Trump is singularly focused on ensuring the Islamic Republic of Iran cannot make or buy a nuclear weapon. Trump is motivated by a conviction similar to that held by Churchill and FDR. They knew Hitler would use any weapon he could obtain, even as Trump and Netanyahu know the fanatics in Iran would use any weapon they could build or buy. Did we achieve enough to end the Iranian regime nuclear program? Time will tell. The threat has existed for 2 decades now. Bravo to Trump for his orders to start destroying it. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature Bank. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. Every growing business needs a strong team behind it. Over the years, Signature Bank has been more than a financial partner. They've shared their knowledge, offered guidance, and connected us with trusted professionals who help strengthen our business. They're a valuable extension of our team and a true partner. That's why I value my relationship with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny and comfortable with a high of 78. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots late and a low of 61. Tomorrow will be beautiful with a mix of sunshine and a few clouds, reaching a high of 80. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The favorite moment or moments from that gala affair yesterday, the opening of Obamaland. A little bit later in the show, we'll ask the same of Michael Owen, who is the president of Adamson Plumbing Contractors and who is owed north of $4 million by the Obamaland peeps. I mean, I guess the Obamas, they're the principals. $4 million unpaid, one of the many unpaid contractors and subcontractors at Obamaland, as we talked about a bit yesterday with Professor Richard Epstein. An equal opportunity deadbeat is the former president. And, of course, the soaring rhetoric we haven't been treated to in a while. He loves Chicago so much, he lives in Martha's Vineyard, right? Oh, as somebody who's often criticized for being a resident of a state other than Illinois, I just love the fanfare attended to Chicago's very own Barack and Michelle Obama, for that matter. They've done so much. They love the place so greatly they can't stand to be here for more than a couple of days. Oh, and it is a couple of days, which was nice of them because, as I understand from the reporting, Michelle Obama will leave Storytime today as the post on yesterday's festivities. Barack Obama, again, providing the wonderful historical context, kind of deep read on American history that I presume patrons of Obamaland will be treated to upon visiting. Talking about, how flawed our founders were, but they got a couple of things right. And, of course, Barack did his best to form a more perfect union while president.
The founders fell terribly short of the Declaration's promise, leaving slavery intact, allowing states to restrict the franchise to white men who own property. But in drafting a Constitution and a Bill of Rights, they did have the foresight, the genius, to provide us with a framework that allows each generation to make our union more perfect. And over more than 2 centuries, through petitions and protests, marches and strikes, moral appeals from the pulpit, and conversations at the family dinner table, men and women from all walks of life, of every color, every faith, every region, took up the cause of democracy and made it their own until we, the people, came to include not just some of us, but all of us.
Yay! Wow, so powerful, so profound, such a deep thinker, actually so quotidian, such a flim-flam artist, such a cliche machine, so uninteresting, so one-dimensional, such a face guy for the radical left. Nothing has changed since he burst onto the scene 3 decades ago to be another jerkwater state legislator from the city. I mean, it's amazing how far these two got with Michelle Obama's just palpable vitriol in the direction of this country, and Barack Obama's cheap, hail fellow, well met kind of rap like you hear there. I mean, there's nothing to disagree with, but there's nothing important that was said either. I don't know if I could concoct a better phrase to describe Barack Obama's public life. I mean, there's much that he said to disagree with, but all of this praise he gets for being such a wonderful rhetorician, a great orator. There's nothing new, interesting, layered, contextual, important that he's ever said. Ever. It's stunning. You think you'd stumble into an insight when you talk this much over such a long period of time. Michelle Obama, on the other hand, much more pointed. She did have something to say. And her something is that people in this country illegally are the heartbeat of the nation. Seems an appropriate sentiment in the sanctuary city, county, and state in which she was speaking.
The immigrants proving what it truly means to be a dreamer. These folks aren't Americans too. They are America. They are the beating heart of this country. They are us, and we are them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They are us, and we are them. That's the sentimental barbarism that you've come to expect from Michelle Obama and her ilk. But, boy, it takes a lot of stones with the number of angel families in the Chicagoland area to say something like that. But, that's what makes people feel good in this city, I guess. Mark in Oak Lawn.
Ian, thanks for taking my call. It's really disturbing. I've been in the business world a long time, and I had to collect my account payables, and that was a part of being a sales guy. And I understood that some people just didn't have the money. They just didn't have the money to pay it off, and you have to take your lumps and bruises. But a guy like Barack Obama, he's worth millions and millions of dollars. And, these contractors that, let's say a guy has a family, 3 or 4 children, 5 children, and he's trying to make payment on his house, and Barack Obama, he's putting people out of business. And the irony is, Dan, he has the money to pay these bills off, but he's so in love with himself that he just can't help himself. And he doesn't want to, he's in love with money, and it's so sad. They give Trump a hard time. And I know Trump's had his issues with business too, but at least he did it the right way. And Barack Obama, he's a deadbeat.
Well, thanks for the call, Mark. To be a Marxist is to be a materialist. I don't know why people forget that. There's, you think somehow these neo-Marxist agitators, and even when they, get Earl Scheib into looking legitimate when they get elected to office, they don't take vows of poverty. These people are materialists. Yes, of course they're interested in the dirty money they decry. By the way, just on the Michelle Obama Dreamers business, wasn't one of the 614 plotters, wasn't he a dreamer? Mexican national here legally? Anyway, this poem, this is Joe from Arlington Heights, our poet laureate quality here, from a Xer named, who goes by the handle No Banunga. I'll cede my time to respond to Michelle Obama in greater detail to offer this. Caught at the border, released. Caught again in Chicago, released again. Arrest warrant issued, no one came. 3 years later, he put on a ski mask, hid behind a lighthouse, and shot an 18-year-old college girl in the back. She was looking at the skyline with her friends. She died on the concrete. This was preventable. Every single piece of this was preventable. March 19th, 2026, Chicago. She's a freshman, 18. Flew in from a small town in New York to chase a bigger life. Just after midnight, she walks out of her dorm with 5 friends, laughing, whispering. Someone heard the northern lights might be out. They want to see the skyline from the pier. Just kids, just a Thursday night, the kind of stupid, beautiful thing you do when you're 18 and the world still feels safe. She walks ahead of the group. reaches the lighthouse first. Behind it, in the dark, a man is waiting. Black clothes, black ski mask, a handgun. She turns, whispers to her friends, someone's back there. He steps out, gun raised. They run. One shot. It hits her in the back. Her friends hear her drop. They come back. She's on the ground, bleeding, 18 years old and dying, on a concrete pier because she wanted to see the city lights. Now here's the timeline that should make your blood boil. May 2023, he crosses the border illegally. Border Patrol catches him, has him in custody, releases him into the country. June 2023, 1 month later, Chicago, arrested for shoplifting. They have him, again, release him, again. He's told to show up to court. He never does. A judge issues a warrant for his arrest, and nobody comes. Nobody knocks on his door. Nobody runs his name. Nobody picks him up. For 3 years, a man with an active arrest warrant lives freely in Chicago, 1 block from a college campus. 1 block. You want to know what makes this more than just a tragedy? The state of Illinois has a law, the Trust Act. It tells local police, don't help ICE. Don't hold anyone for them. Don't even tell them when you let someone go. A man gets caught at the border, released. Gets caught committing a crime, released. Skips court, warrant goes active, and the law says don't look for him. That is not a broken system. That is a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Read the sentence one more time. The system worked perfectly, and an 18-year-old girl is dead. Her parents flew in from New York, stood on the pier where their daughter was killed, threw flowers into Lake Michigan. Stop for a second and picture that. A mother at the exact spot where her child bled out on a school night, throwing flowers into black water because there's nothing left to do. Her mother told the cameras, we've got to make changes. Her father, there are definitely policies that contributed to this happening. They didn't scream, they didn't rage, they stood on cold concrete and asked this country, quietly, to do better. This country has not answered them. She was studying business. She was part of a Christian fellowship on campus. Her family said she made people feel seen. She made people feel valued. She was someone's entire world, and she was just trying to look at the skyline. She should be packing up her dorm room right now. She should be fighting with her roommate about who gets the mini fridge. She should be texting her mom about what to bring home for summer. She should be alive. She should be alive. She should be alive. A border that held him would have saved her. A jail that kept him would have saved her. A warrant someone bothered to serve would have saved her. A state that let its police do their damn jobs would have saved her. 4 doors, 4 chances, every single one left wide open, and a girl who wanted to see the skyline walked to the end of the pier and never came back. God bless every parent who drops their kid off at college, drives home with an empty back seat, and has no choice but to trust that this world will bring them back alive. Will that be something that we could contribute to the Obama Library? Check the headlines with Mike Scott.
5:36, 59 degrees and sunshine in Chicago, headed for a pleasant high of 78. Traffic trouble this early morning. The outbound Ike has just reopened after a shooting investigation between Homan and Independence. For a couple of hours, all traffic was diverted off onto the Ryan or Kennedy. That is being sorted out right now. The inbound Stevenson exit to Central is shut down with a serious rollover crash, life-threatening injuries, and we'll update that in traffic in just a moment. Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott points out that the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding is not the peace deal, but only a plan to work towards peace.
Scott does call into question at least one portion of the MOU.
So we ought to hold back any money we have of theirs, or they pay us for the cost of the actions we had to take, because we only did this because they've been killing Americans.
Others in the GOP are much harsher critics, with outgoing Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy blasting the memorandum as the worst foreign policy blunder in decades and ill-advised. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Talks between the U.S. and Iran have been canceled for now. The U.S. Supreme Court backing a marijuana user's challenge to a law that bans people who use illegal drugs from having firearms. The court voted 9-0 on Thursday, but the ruling does not invalidate the law across the board. Rather, it simply makes it harder for prosecutors to invoke the law. A teenager from Oak Park is facing a murder charge connected with a deadly shooting of a man riding a bike in Grant Park earlier this week. Eliel Tenorio is facing one count of first-degree murder after being arrested in his home in Oak Park Tuesday evening. The victim identified as 27-year-old Malik Jones. The Illinois Department of Children and Family Services has been added to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit by a woman who claims to have been sexually abused while in its care. DCFS is now being sued, along with Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness, who ran a foster care facility on Michigan Avenue, and A-Alert Security, the company that hired the worker that was convicted of abusing then 17-year-old Yadira Escamilla.
Yadira, we pray for all the young people who suffered in the House of Horrors.
Attorney Ben Crump, court records show 41-year-old Trulon Henry was found guilty on multiple charges of sexual assault and the grooming of minors. Margaret Black is an attorney for Levin and Perconti.
From 2018 until Aunt Martha's was shut down, there were over 3,000 unusual incident reports to DCFS. The police were called to the facility 175 times.
That victim is now 20 and alleges not enough was done to protect her. A 7-year-old boy has been found dead after drowning in a retention pond in the northwest suburbs. The child was reported missing before being found unresponsive in that pond in Lake in the Hills. An all-time Chicago Blackhawk legend is hanging up his skates. Former Hawks center Jonathan Toews is expected to officially announce his retirement this weekend. The captain anchored the Hawks from 2007 until 2023, winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Hawks, 372 goals, 1,067 career games with the Blackhawks. The Obama Presidential Center officially opens to the public today. The former president spoke yesterday in Jackson Park.
It's an expression of thanks, an acknowledgement that so much of what I hold most dear I owe to the people of this city and the people of these surrounding neighborhoods.
Chicago sports, White Sox take the series finale with the Yankees with one swing of the bat, a grand slam from Andrew Benintendi in the 8th inning. They send Eric Fedde to the mound against Detroit tonight after the 5-1 win. Cubs begin a series with Toronto at Wrigley. World Cup soccer, Mexico advances to the knockout stage with a home win over Korea. Switzerland took down Bosnia. Canada, a 6-0 win over Qatar. Today, the U.S. battles Australia. Wyndham Clark sits on top of the leaderboard at the U.S. Open. The news service of Bank of America, sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026, dedicated to offering solutions to help businesses meet their goals locally and globally. More at bankofamerica.com/gamechangers. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But in 2 minutes, your AccuWeather forecast.
Larry Elder believes the rhetoric needs to be dialed down.
I want him to know how much the American people hate his guts.
Okay. It would just seem to me, after 3 assassination attempts, maybe, just maybe, you might want to turn down the rhetoric. Can you imagine if there had been 3 assassination attempts against Barack Obama? Can you imagine?
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor-rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio, video, and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's KOLE Digital.com. Or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect mostly sunny skies and comfortable conditions with a high of 78. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a chance of a shower in spots late and a low of 61. Tomorrow is shaping up to be beautiful, featuring sunshine with a few clouds and a high of 80. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just some postscript on the great grand opening of Obamaland. Take a few of your calls with comments as well. I did working class hero, the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Did he have any comment on the unpaid contractors, the unpaid working men who built a $850 million, maybe it's over $1 billion, who knows, monstrosity? And with respect to the lack of endowment, it's about 1/470th of what it was supposed to be, what it was guaranteed to be. Any commentary from the commentariat in Chicagoland? Anybody ask uncomfortable questions about that? Any guarantees that there's not going to be an effort to put taxpayers on the hook? Taxpayers as the backstop. I mean, I assume that everybody will be happy to pay. Certainly that's true of the political power structure. Obama sucktoy Ali Giannoulias, of course, who has mayoral aspirations. Well, he just has aspirations to be somebody. He's very much like Jelly Belly. He's sort of a vacuous, silver spoon kid who is looking for a sense of identity through politics. So that's why he ran for Senate, 15 years ago when he was, in his early 30s. He's a creation of the state, both this state and just the state in general. I mean, his family's failed mob bank got a bailout, $400 million bailout. So the Giannouliases were taken care of by us. The Obamas have been taken care of by us for the entirety of their career. I mean, it was a launching pad for corporations ultimately to get in and provide some additional funding. But when it comes to something this big, where the private sector is no longer so fascinated with the Obamas, they're sort of passé. So why are Fortune 500 companies going to prop up this library, throw big checks into this underfunded project, underfunded, over budget, unsustainable project? Well, they're not going to. What good did the Obamas do them now? They don't have to pay tribute anymore, so they won't. It's always transactional. Ali G yesterday, trying to get his political capital out of the event.
He also likes to have the best players on his team, which, is funny. On election day, we were playing, and I'm going through the list of who's on his team, and I was on his team, and I'm looking at it, and I said, Scottie Pippen's on the other team. He's like, I know, that stinks. I'm like, well, we can't have Scottie Pippen on the other team. He said, I know, but, Marty made up the teams, and he put Pippen on his team. And I looked at him and I said, you're the most powerful man in the world. Cross his name out and put him on our team. And you can ask Marty about that. He crossed out the name, and next thing you know, Scottie Pippen changes his jersey, and he's on our team. And then we just continue to destroy everybody.
What a great story. He rolled up his girls' sweatpants, and you guys ran the court at East Bank Club over Marty Nesbitt and whoever the hell else. What a douche this guy is. And I know people that are, sort of supporting him or thinking about supporting him for mayor just out of, like, he's the least worst option because he'll be user-friendly for their business interests. So it's so disgraceful, this mimbo. We just support one of these effeminate mimbos time and again. Obama's one. Tiny Dancer. Jelly Belly. These eunuchs. And I know Giannoulias is supposed to be a good basketball player, and that's well and good. He's had nothing to do his entire life except shoot hoops, so I assume by now he's fairly proficient at it. Not impressed. And it doesn't make him any less effeminate. The effeminate leadership of this city and state. It's pathetic. The city of big shoulders, the Grabowskis, the working guys. And you get your lunch handed to you by mimbos like this crew that was on display yesterday. It's pathetic. Bill on the Northwest Side, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, we bought the Hope and Change snake oil he was selling the first time around. But the unbelievable thing is that after 4 years of that empty suit, he got reelected. It took about 5 minutes of him speaking to know there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And he pulled it off. A great con job.
Yeah, no, it was. And he had the benefit, your opponents matter. He had the benefit of running against an empty suit in 2012, so that certainly helped. And John McCain was an empty suit, but he wasn't the right man at the right time in 2008 either. But there's a lot of people who fell for the Obama charm offensive, such as it was. He was going to be so different. Those people were either willfully blind or knew nothing about Chicago politics and his history. I mean, again, a little bit of investigation and a little bit of circumspection would have gone a long way for so many who got buffaloed at least once, if not twice, including, self-styled conservatives. Even the late, great Charles Krauthammer. Jim in Crown Point.
Listening to you spew all your negativity, I have my vision of hope.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that nobody in Pritzker's family gets shot. I hope nobody in Johnson's family gets shot. And I hope that the black teen flash mob doesn't overrun the Obama presidential library.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, I'll just leave that there. It's just actually as an aside, though, since you brought it up, this is kind of fun. Did you see what they're doing in Vegas to deal with teen takeovers? It's not just a Chicago problem, but there are some communities around the country that are actually serious about, treating criminal behavior as criminality and not suggesting that the problem is institutional racism, white supremacy, and we just need to find more safe spaces for these kids to stop being silly and start being more productive. Like, for example, as I said, in Vegas, Kevin McMahill is the sheriff there. They're just taking the cars. I mean, it's, maybe this is something. If Ray Lopez couldn't get the parental ordinance through, maybe you can greenlight police to do this, especially with those, what do they call those things? The drag racing, but that circular stuff that they do, like they're, I don't know, sort of the modern day James Dean routine that they're doing, or Paul Abdul video, or whatever it is they're doing, but it's dangerous and people are getting hurt, and it's a problem. Well, just take the cars and grind them up. That's what they're doing in Vegas.
If you choose your vehicle as a tool to endanger others, you're going to risk losing that vehicle permanently. Today's vehicle destruction reflects our commitment to public safety, accountability, and preventing future harm.
Every week, we're identifying more individuals, we're identifying those other individuals, and we're holding them accountable. We're arresting them, and as you can see here, and what's left of those giant cars are sitting here before us. This is what's going to happen if you continue to be involved with it.
And they had this little press availability at a scrapyard where they turned these cars into like little, square metallic boxes, about the size of a bread box, just to emphasize the point with a compelling visual, sort of like something like when Top Secret, was it Omar Sharif, lines up in that little box after it goes through the scrapyard and gets pounded out. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, do you think there's enough time for Hillary to give us another beautiful presidential library in Park Ridge?
One can only hope. Enough time and money, too. I think just as it is with the Obama Foundation, the Clinton Foundation doesn't have the same appeal in corporate America and with Islamic theocracies, for that matter, that it used to, So the money raise will be a little bit tougher in 2026 than, say, it was a decade or two ago. But don't worry. Again, everybody got paid. By the way, before the big event yesterday, I saw that Barack and Michelle sat down with their pal, Robin Roberts. And, man, this is fun. What's the next chapter? I just love this. Yeah, like they've lived such rich lives. They've done so much. What's the next chapter? In a word? Because, these are deep thinkers. They've obviously thought about this. This is all very vision quest, the way they conduct their affairs.
One word to describe your next chapter. One word.
Fun.
Me. That's what you call drop the mic.
You know what? You seem to be grading her higher on her answer.
Aren't they fun? If I was Barack in that moment, one word to describe my next chapter: single.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Every morning, students and faculty fill your school's hallways. And every morning, parents trust you to know who's there with them. With ID Supply, that trust is earned and visible. From student and staff ID cards to secure visitor badge systems, ID Supply helps you instantly identify who belongs on campus at a glance, while keeping your entire facility safer. Visitor badges expire automatically, so no one stays longer than they should. And parents, they can feel confident knowing their school has a system in place. Need supplies? We've got you covered. ID card printers, ribbons, and custom lanyards in your school colors. Most orders ship same day. Parents, if your child's school doesn't have a visitor ID system, ask them about ID Supply, because knowing who's on campus shouldn't be a question. Get 10% off your first order with code SCHOOL10. That's SCHOOL10. Visit idsupply.com or call 800-647-5562. Again, that's 800-647-5562. ID Supply. Trusted by schools for over 20 years.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up at 6:06, J.D. Vance continues to try to sell the Iran deal and has some strong words in the direction of Bibi Netanyahu's cabinet. We'll start there, 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Vice President Vance is still in Washington. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. His trip to Switzerland today for more negotiations postponed after President Trump had signed the deal with Iran, extending the ceasefire for 60 more days of nuclear talks back on Wednesday.
The announcement of the delay followed a report from a Hezbollah-allied media outlet that Iran was delaying sending its delegation to Switzerland over Israel's ongoing campaign in Lebanon. Today, intense clashes between Israeli forces and Hezbollah in the southern part of the country. Lebanon says at least 18 people have been killed, and the IDF reported 4 soldiers died in the latest conflict.
Fox Business's Max Gordon in Dubai. The Trump deal with Iran has faced criticism from some Republicans and Democrats in Congress concerned about concessions given to Iran, from oil revenue to sanctions relief. Many in Israel have also been critical, and Vice President Vance says,
if I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world.
And as the U.S. military remains on standby in case the Iran deal falls apart, another American attack in an ongoing operation off the South American coast targeting drug smuggling.
3 people are killed on the strike on a boat in the Eastern Pacific. U.S. Southern Command says intelligence confirms they were engaged in narco-trafficking operations. The statement does not say that anyone survived. There's a brief video released of a boat speeding through the water, then bursting into flames.
Fox's Chris Foster.
Appears to be floating debris.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. More than 200 alleged drug traffickers have been killed in dozens of U.S. attacks in September. Some Americans have today off. Schools, banks, post offices closed because it's Juneteenth, a federal holiday.
It dates back to the end of the Civil War and President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 that freed slaves. Because Texas saw few battles during the Civil War, word of slavery's end was slow to reach the state. It wasn't until June 19th, 2 years later, that the last enslaved blacks in Texas were freed.
That's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox. 59 degrees at 6:02. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A teenager from Oak Park is facing a murder charge connected with the deadly shooting of a man simply riding his bike in Grant Park earlier this week. Chicago police say Eliel Tenorio is facing one count of first-degree murder, arrested at his home in Oak Park this week. The victim, identified as 27-year-old Malik Jones, a Chicago resident. Cause of death ruled to be multiple gunshot wounds, according to an autopsy. Illinois DCFS has been added to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit filed by a woman who claims to have been sexually abused while in its care. DCFS is now being sued along with Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness, a foster care facility, and A-Alert Security, the company that hired the worker accused of abusing the 17-year-old.
Pray for all the young people who suffered in the House of Horrors.
Attorney Ben Crump, court records show in March, 41-year-old Trulon Henry was found guilty on multiple charges of sexual assault and the grooming of minors. A man charged with an arson fire last week in downtown Chicago is out of custody. Cook County judge released Merlin Liu from custody pending trial. He faces hate crime, arson, and other charges in the June 9 incident in Grant Park. He reported the burning structure to other reporters, he says, as a protest against President Trump. Chicago sports, an all-time Blackhawk great is retiring. Former Blackhawks center and captain Jonathan Toews is officially expected to announce his retirement this weekend. With one swing of the bat, the White Sox take the series finale with the Yankees. Andrew Benintendi with an eighth-inning grand slam and a 5-1 White Sox win. They take on Detroit tonight, while the Cubs begin a series with the Blue Jays. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you. Visit 56david.com, 855-563-2843, 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 613114. And a check of traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlowe sees no support from the fake news.
And I think what the president is doing is essentially managing expectations towards a defeat.
So that's what she's saying, is that we are being defeated by Iran, even though we wiped out all of their leadership, we wiped out all of their aerial defenses, we wiped out so much of their Navy. This is the whole thing, that why the fake news is the enemy of the people.
The Alex Marlowe Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Fight or flight? In Illinois, you've got both options. You can stay and fight, engage in local races, work to change things. Or you can vote with your feet. At leavingil.com, we help you build a smart exit plan so you know where to go, when to go, and how to do it right. Take our quick exit readiness assessment. Go to leavingil.com. That's leavingil.com. Or call 224-800-6979.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep in a traditional bed? Experience Z-Cliner, the revolutionary recliner by FlexSteel. The Z-Cliner was engineered with restful sleep in mind. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep. Z-Cliner is more than just a recliner, featuring custom power adjustments like recline, headrest, lumbar, heat, massage. It's a personalized comfort experience. Z-Cliner is a sleep solution backed by FlexSteel's durability that you can trust, delivering unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Discover the Z-Cliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
6:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Stevenson, your exit ramp to Central, the off-ramp there closed due to an earlier rollover accident with life-threatening injuries still being tended to by police. And just a reminder as well that the exit ramp remains shut down as that investigation continues. An accident on the Jane Addams I-90. A right lane is blocked westbound just after Route 47, and they've cleaned up an accident just moments ago, 8094 westbound between Klein and Calumet. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And now a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and comfortable with a high of 78. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots late and a low of 61. Tomorrow will be beautiful with a mix of sunshine and a few clouds, reaching a high of 80. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And so J.D. Vance continuing to press the issue with the Iranian deal, make the case on behalf of the administration. And still noticeably absent from the pitches that are being made to the American people is one Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I know he's got a lot of jobs, so maybe he's just sidelined with more pressing matters, but that's not what I think is happening. J.D. Vance, in this press availability he had yesterday on Israel's cynicism about this deal.
There's a report in Axios that Netanyahu's fuming over this. Israel doesn't feel bound to the MOU as it relates to Lebanon. If, as you mentioned, your frustration with Israel striking in Beirut, hitting apartment buildings, if that continues, could it torpedo the deal? And what would the U.S.'s response be to a broader war in Lebanon involving Israel and Hezbollah?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into hypotheticals that could torpedo the deal, because I think the president's expectation is that all of our friends, the Israelis, the Arabs in the region, we're going to work together and actually see this deal to completion. Now, I saw the Axios report, that Netanyahu is fuming. That's not reflective of the conversations that I've had with him, but maybe he's saying something to somebody else that he's not saying to me. What I will say, and this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal, and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members, Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path, but to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Thank you all.
312-642-5600, the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. You know, J.D. Vance has really made a habit the last several days of standing up these straw men to knock down. The people that, whether they're on in this country or in the Middle East or anywhere else, that were supportive of the president's campaign against the Iranians from the outset and have problems with this deal, don't have problems with like Donald J. Trump on a personal level or what he thinks or what he knows, but rather what the administration is doing. They have specific substantive concerns about the deal. And you know, for all of this jawboning in the direction of the Israelis, this is sort of what I was talking about earlier in the week. Boy, it certainly seems like we're a bit confused as to who our long-term allies are and are not. On the one hand, J.D. Vance is telling us that the Iranians are turning over a new leaf and walking away from 47 years of their hostility towards America. You know, the Death to America folks. Remember them? Very optimistic about the Iranians and very cynical about the Israelis. I think he's got that upside down. And by the way, the U.S.-Israel relationship is not does not go only in one direction. As Israeli Minister Miki Zohar said yesterday, the intelligence we provide the United States has saved countless American lives. Technologies developed in Israel are used by the U.S. military before anyone else. It's a real alliance that goes in both directions. And I could go through, John Spencer, the historian, did a pretty good drill down on what the $4 billion in foreign aid that we provide the Israeli gets us in terms of ROI. And remember, Bibi and others, our friend Leo Leibowitz from Tablet, have suggested that they don't want aid from America anymore. It's not, it's not worth the price of the demagoguery associated with in the direction of the Israelis. Okay. Oh, and maybe some of the cynicism is coming because, for example, one of those new, rational, pragmatic, moderate people that is turning over a new leaf, according to J.D. Vance, Galibaf, the head of the parliament, former mayor of Tehran, said on Iranian state TV after the agreement, quote, "If we truly seek justice for Khamenei, then that justice will be achieved through the liberation of Jerusalem. We must uphold that honor, remain committed to that vision, carry out that mission." So as he is part of the named individuals by J.D. Vance in terms of who the United States team, with Vance writing point, is dealing with, who will be there ostensibly today in Geneva to memorialize the MOU. This is one of the guys. And what is he doing? He's promising that the job to liberate Jerusalem is unfinished, and it needs to be finished. Iranian mullahs and IRGC types like this guy have also promised to help Hezbollah once their assets are unfrozen and sanctions are lifted. And we're getting lectures, or the Israelis are they're offering Trump and Vance are offering lectures to the Israelis about their judgment and their acceptance of this framework that Trump and Vance are touting. J.D. Vance on the general cynicism beyond Israel to this deal.
I've seen skeptics of the deal. People say the Iranians will never change their behavior. Well, maybe that's true. And if so, they don't get any of the benefits of the bargain. But isn't it worth trying? Isn't it worth seeing whether this incredibly weakened position that the President of the United States has put the Iranians under, whether that motivates them to change their behavior, not just vis-a-vis the West, but vis-a-vis the Middle East? And one of the interesting things about this is, the technical details of this we can, of course, get into. There are going to be any number of opinions about the negotiation, about where it's ultimately going to go. But I tend to think that you should trust the people who know the Iranians the best and who have the most to lose. What are the Gulf Arab states saying about this deal? What are they saying about this deal compared to the JCPOA in 2015? This is the Obama nuclear deal. Well, back then, they hated that deal. They felt like it empowered the Iranians to be bad actors across the region. And of course, that's exactly what happened. They were right about that. What are they saying about the president's peace deal? They're saying this is an amazingly transformative thing for the region because either way, we and the broader region win. Iran is weakened, their nuclear program destroyed, their economy in desperate straits. And if they change their behavior, big things are going to happen for Iran and for the world. If they don't, no skin off our backs. Either way, we win, and that's the way the president has set up this deal and this negotiation.
Yeah, that's just not true. That if they don't behave, that they get nothing. No skin off our nose. Point number 10 in the deal. The United States of America undertakes that, quote, immediately after the signing of this MOU, and until the termination of sanctions, the U.S. Department of Treasury will issue waivers for exports of Iranian crude oil, petroleum products, and derivatives, and all associated services, including banking transactions, insurances, transportation, and so forth. So oil sanctions are lifted for at least the 60-day period of negotiations and related services. So that's not nothing. In point of fact, that represents, over the course of 60 days, billions and billions of dollars. In addition to, other financial incentives. And, the Gulf states, as the appeal to authority that J.D. Vance is offering, those who know the Iranians best. I think the Israelis have a pretty good handle on the Iranians, too, this Iranian group that's in charge. I think they have a pretty good handle. And they're skeptical. There's a lot of people who have a pretty good handle on the Iranians because, there's a lot of people who have been watching intently their conduct over the last 50 years and are skeptical. So that appeal to authority is a fallacious line of reasoning, not to mention the Gulf states have immediate financial interests, too. It's a little bit more complicated. And many of them are Islamic theocracies that, even if they're signatories to the Abraham Accords, the peaceful coexistence with Israel is not their highest order priority. I mean, it's something that if you can make it in my interest, I'll abide it. I don't need to participate in the jihad that the more radical elements in the Islamic world seek against the Israelis. But, I'm not going to die in a hill for them either. Right? And the whole financial interest piece of this, Trump posting on Truth Social, these fools who think I haven't been tough enough on Iran when the stock market just hit a record high and oil prices are tumbling down are either jealous, bad people, or stupid. Make America great again. Mm-hmm. Well, this is the same president who said not so long ago that, I'm not, when asked about sort of Americans paying more at the pump and Americans, affordability, the affordability issue associated with the hostilities in Iran. He's like, I'm not, I can't be. Basically, what he it was misinterpreted purposely by the media and the left. I don't care about people's financial concerns, that's not what he was saying. What he was saying, as I said at the time, and will repeat, is what you would expect a statesman to say, which is, yes, I understand there is some short-term pain, but there is long-term gain here. I have to look beyond just the short-term price at the pump to America's national security interests going forward. I want to do something no other president has been willing to do, which is permanently sideline the leading state sponsor of terror, permanently prevent Iran from nuclearization, and also just general regional terror that they inflict on our allies, longstanding or more recent. I mean, that was the attitude of a statesman, somebody thinking about America beyond his term of office. This is now somebody doing the opposite. And as one commentator observed, a culture that cares more about the current economy and the next elections than the long-term survival is a culture that will die. It's a culture that sentences its own children and their children's children to death. The Islamic Ummah thinks, plans, and carries out its moves with a mindset that looks dozens, hundreds, and thousands of years ahead. Any culture whose approach to life is shorter term, like the one Trump represents currently, will be eliminated by that Islamic Ummah. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. Now, there are other perspectives on this, too, including our good friend Katie McFarland. She was on Varney yesterday, and she thinks the deal is a masterstroke.
Well, first of all, after 47 years, we absolutely
that's not her.
cannot trust them.
That's deep voice. Katie McFarland transition. No, here she is.
Clear-cut win for the president, and nothing like Obama's deal. First of all, the deal itself, Obama had no ability to inspect, right? There weren't snap inspections. They had to make an appointment to inspect any nuclear sites. And secondly, there was no method of punishing Iran if they disobey, if they broke the terms of the agreement. I guess they could have written a strong letter, but what does President Trump do? He has the ability to inspect for all of the nuclear sites. And number two, he's leaving that armada in place. If Iran steps out of line, boom, he'll put back on the economic and the military pressures.
Part of the problem I have is this comparison to the Obama glide path to a nuclear weapon deal. I mean, yes, it's better than that, and Trump's efforts thus far have been exponentially better, of course, because of everything that he has accomplished in terms of decimating Iran's military and industrial base. Of course that's true, but that's not the standard. The standard isn't better than a terrible deal. The standard is, are we accomplishing the objectives that were set forth at the outset? And one of them, as I mentioned a couple of times this week, was not just the prevention of a nuclear weapon in perpetuity and some real teeth there, obtaining the enriched uranium, which I know is on a 60-day clock, and we're still going to try and figure that out. But in addition to that, it was Iran's inability to project power outside of its borders. Is that where you think this is? General Jack Keane, also Trump supporter, on Varney, slightly different perspective.
Well, first of all, after 47 years, we absolutely cannot trust them. We know for a fact they lie and they cheat. We know even when they talk about a deal, they're somewhat inconsistent. Some parts of their government agrees with the deal, other parts of the government does not. We also know that not only when they say something, they rarely ever do it exactly as they say it. So, yes, you're absolutely right. We can't trust them. But listen, the administration knows full well who these people are. We know that what they really are is a version of their predecessors. We killed the Ayatollah and 40 of his leaders. But these are also hardliners committed to their diabolical ideological strategy, and they likely will want to return to that after they survive, they recover, they rebuild, and then try to reverse the deal that we've been made. That's who they are. So we have to go into this knowing full well that's how they're going to behave, and knowing that we have to bake into the deal some enforcement and some compliance for the deal itself, Stuart. Yeah, so we got to roll up our sleeves here and really get to work, because that's what's beginning now.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if that's the attitude of the administration of Trump and Vance, if they think that the work is just beginning, or that this is sign this deal and continue the negotiations to figure out the enriched uranium piece and then walk away and put a bow on it. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to play out. Mark Dubowitz, Foundation for Defense of Democracy. The good news is oil is below $80, down roughly 35 to 40% from its high. The bad news, billions could flow back to Tehran to rebuild its deadly capabilities. If President Trump can refuel energy markets, restrict regimes' access to cash, maintain pressure, and also prepare a plan, Operation People's Fury, for the day Iranians return to the streets, the strategy may look far better a few months from now. Yeah, possibly. There are a lot of ifs there. And what exactly, again, is the appetite for continuing to be vigilant and diligent in the direction of these people who we know who they are, despite J.D. Vance's unbridled optimism about who they are? Nancy in Northbrook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. I feel this deal is a disaster on every level. I think that it's obvious that Trump and the administration, when they went into this part of the war, that they didn't think through everything that could happen, and were unprepared for what Iran did. I think it's obvious Iran won, and not only am I concerned for the Middle East, because I'm a supporter of Israel, but China's watching, and Russia's watching, and I just don't see how they can't come out of this thinking like, wow, the U.S. capitulated. And I don't see how this doesn't become a disaster, especially the part that the deal has with Lebanon being part of it and Hezbollah. We know what Hezbollah is going to do. And Israel's already in bad shape. I mean, the north of Israel, I believe over 50,000 residents have not been in their homes for many months because the constant rockets from Lebanon. And I think it's also a disaster because I would never vote for J.D. Vance after what I hear him saying. And I can't imagine that within the administration there are not what I think there are probably two camps. Marco Rubio is awfully quiet. So I just think this is a disaster. Politically, I think the Republicans are going to lose the midterms, and then in 28, they'll lose the presidency. It's just a disaster on every level.
Thanks, Nancy.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
This is Hugh Hewitt for Townhall.com. The Winter Fortress, the epic mission to sabotage Hitler's atomic bomb, is a 2016 book by Neil Bascom. It tells the harrowing story of Norwegian commandos who attacked the German site at Wehrmacht in World War II. It was the Nazis' only plant for the mass production of heavy water, on which they had placed their primary bet to produce atomic weapons during World War II. I wish it had been converted to the film that it was option B, because it would have been a shortcut for those who don't understand why Donald Trump is singularly focused on ensuring the Islamic Republic of Iran cannot make or buy a nuclear weapon. Trump is motivated by a conviction similar to that held by Churchill and FDR. They knew Hitler would use any weapon he could obtain, even as Trump and Netanyahu know the fanatics in Iran would use any weapon they could build or buy. Did we achieve enough to end the Iranian regime nuclear program? Time will tell. The threat has existed for 2 decades now. Bravo to Trump for his orders to start destroying it. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just a postscript on Hezbollah. I mean, from Bruce Pearl, of all people, the former Auburn basketball coach, by way of Tennessee, by way of Iowa. Bruce Pearl, if Americans couldn't live in northern Michigan because Hezbollah was launching rockets from apartments in Toronto, we would tell Canada to handle it, or we will have to. Comparing, what's going on with Hezbollah in Lebanon vis-a-vis Israel. Put it in a domestic context and say, what would you expect America to do in response to something like that? The Lebanese government has tried but failed to prevent these attacks. Remember, only Israel went to combat with us. Only Israel risked their sons and daughters fighting heroically side by side with our heroes. Only Israel took out Iran's air defense system so we could launch Operation Midnight Hammer. Only Israel provides us with the most trusted intelligence. Maybe one day, maybe on the day of the potential signing of the peace treaty, Israel could have waited to eliminate a terrorist responsible for killing our men. The U.S.-Israel relationship has never been stronger thanks to our president and prime minister, Netanyahu. Iran and the terrorists best not forget that. And it is interesting because I think there's some separation between Trump and Vance on that issue. Trump has said and repeated not only the quality of the relationship he has with Bibi, but that if Israel attacked Iran, that Trump would back the Israelis. He may not agree with every judgment call because of his own immediate, mainly political interests, but he gets the larger picture. I'm not sure that Vance would offer the same answer. Let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
6:34, 59 degrees and sunshine. And this morning, Israel's military says its forces struck targets throughout southern Lebanon overnight as Hezbollah reported intense fighting in the area. Lebanon's state-run news agency says at least 18 were killed. President Trump and Iranian leadership signed that memorandum of understanding. Then the president sat down with White House Axios reporter Mark Caputo, saying this memorandum is an unconditional surrendering. His words.
Beginning a conflict, you had talked about you only wanted unconditional surrender. And the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
Sweden's foreign ministry announcing that planned talks between the U.S., Iran, and Qatar in Pakistan have been postponed. U.S. military has attacked a boat accused of smuggling drugs in the eastern Pacific Ocean, killing 3. A teen from Oak Park is facing a murder charge connected with a deadly shooting of a man riding a bike in Chicago's Grant Park earlier this week. Chicago police say Elio Tenorio is facing 1 count of first-degree murder. He was arrested at his home in Oak Park on Tuesday evening. Federal prosecutors are dropping some charges against 3 men accused of trying to rob undercover ATF agents in Country Club Hills last week. Court documents say prosecutors dismissed charges after they discovered video evidence that appears inconsistent with the agent's account of that incident. A man wanted by the FBI for years who was arrested in Mexico last year, all connected to the fatal stabbing of his newlywed wife, has now been brought back to Chicago. The victim was found stabbed to death in a bathtub, still wearing her wedding dress in Burbank back in 2012. All-time Chicago Blackhawk legend, Hawks center Jonathan Toews is expected to officially announce his retirement this weekend. The captain anchored the Hawks from 2007 until 2023. He only joined Winnipeg after sitting out the last 2 seasons. Toews won 3 Stanley Cups with the Blackhawks in 1,067 career games with the team. The Obama Presidential Center officially opens to the public today after the former president spoke in Jackson Park yesterday.
It's an expression of thanks, an acknowledgement that so much of what I hold most dear I owe to the people of this city and the people of these surrounding neighborhoods.
It only took one swing of the bat for the White Sox to take the series finale with the Yankees. A grand slam in the 8th inning from Andrew Benintendi gave the White Sox a 5-1 win, while the Cubs begin a series with the Blue Jays this afternoon. World Cup soccer, the U.S. battles Australia today. The Chicago Wolves stave off elimination in the Calder-Turner Cup finals, whatever you choose, with a victory over Toronto. The news service of Woodland Windows and Doors. See Marvin products in their beautiful showroom at the corner of Lake and Gary and Roselle, or visit woodlandwindows.com for a free in-home expert consultation. A check of traffic and weather coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
I don't care what they are, a doctor, a lawyer, a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. If they're a Democrat, they're a frickin' criminal. They do nothing. Good for nothing. They cannot tell the truth. They pretend to be what exactly? Anything other than what they are. The greatest political mafia this country's ever seen.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio, video, and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's KOLE digital.com, or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Nolan Webster. If you have more questions than answers about what's next, let's work together to help ensure you're prepared for your journey. After all, retirement isn't the end of the trek, it's the new beginning. Stop by our office in Palatine or call 224-801-6107. That's 224-801-6107. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
RedState.com captures the pulse of grassroots conservatism. Red State staff of contributors are on top of breaking news with stories and analysis that challenge the established agenda. RedState.com educates, motivates, and activates passionate conservatives across America, arming them with the facts that put them ahead of the political curve. No wonder RedState.com is a must-read for elected officials and for citizens who want to make their vote count. RedState.com is the place where influence meets action. Log on to redstate.com today.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
6:42, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Stevenson inbound, that exit ramp that's been closed for a couple of hours. The inbound off-ramp to Central has just been reopened after a much earlier serious accident. Tri-State 294 northbound on the off-ramp to the inbound Ike, an accident in the exit ramp. That's a tough place to have an accident. It's a construction zone. Drive with care there. Accident, left shoulder, Reagan Memorial, eastbound between Randall and Route 31. I-80, accident on the exit ramp to northbound Harlem. Traffic, a service of AutoZone. Get in the zone. Time to say good night to that check engine light. With the free AutoZone Fix Finders service, restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunny and pleasant with a high of 78.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yeah, this edition of Sports and Politics, you know, I'm fond of saying that courage is as contagious as cowardice. We see a lot of the latter in Illinois. We're seeing some of the former in professional sports. It started, the other week when a couple of Dodgers players, the LA Dodgers organization, which famously provided the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence for some sort of community certificate honor a couple years back during quote-unquote Pride Month. And there's some Dodgers that are not down with the LGBTQIA2S plus mandatory celebration. So a couple of Dodgers the other week refused to wear the Pride hats for Pride Night at Chavez Ravine. And then it was the Giants' turn, and a few Giants pitchers one chose not to wear the multicolored rainbow LGBTQIA2S plus celebratory hat. And a couple others wrote biblical verses on the hats that drew the ire of Major League Baseball. Lucas Tomlinson reporting for Fox News.
Senator Josh Hawley has written a letter to Major League Baseball saying that these players are being subjected to religious discrimination after Major League Baseball players on the San Francisco Giants were criticized by Major League Baseball for writing Bible verses on their team-issued Pride Night hats during Friday night's game against the Chicago Cubs, including Landon Roop, a 27-year-old right-hander from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, who started and pitched 4 2/3 innings with Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 16 written on his cap next to the rainbow-colored team logo, as you can see there. After the game, Roop said, "There's no hate at all. It's just what I stand for and what I stand on. I believe in God." 2 relievers also made appearances in the game with Bible verses on their hats. Another took the mound without his Pride Night cap, instead wearing the traditional orange lettering. The pitchers have a supporter and Vice President J.D. Vance, who posted on X, quote, "Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore." Now, San Francisco first added Pride Night uniforms in 2021. After the game, the Giants issued a statement apologizing to the LGBTQ plus community. Major League Baseball issuing a statement saying the writing on the caps violates our rules and consistent with normal practice. We have warned the players about future violations.
Well, now it's spread to the minor leagues, I'm happy to report. Again, why am I forced to celebrate? This is what tolerance is to the left, right? Tolerance is not acceptance. Well, those are not synonyms. Tolerance is treated as mandatory acceptance and celebration. you will not only agree, you will celebrate your agreement. And some of these baseball players understand that and not down with it. The York Revolution, this is appropriate. It's a minor league team in Pennsylvania, York Revolution. They were willing to forfeit a game over not having to dress up in the LGBTQIA2S++++ costumes.
News out of York. The York Revolution says that it is canceling tonight's Pride Night game, saying that players refused to wear the Pride Night jersey. The team says the game will be forfeited, but says it will still hold a free Pride Night event at Wellspan Park. The Revs say that if you did buy tickets for tonight's game, you can redeem them for any future game. The event that is still on for tonight will run from 5:30 to 9.
I think the buttless pants were a little bit too much for some of the guys on the York Revolution. Maybe that had something to do with it. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. Rob Schneider, Deuce Bigelow, who apparently is like the G.K. Chesterton of our time, I've found out, was on Fox News to talk about this matter, specifically because of the Giants players who wrote the biblical verses on their bills.
It's just you got to follow the money. It's where the sports are getting their money and who's going to complain the loudest. But I think this time MLB screwed up. I mean, MLB, remember, they didn't fine anybody for taking a knee. Remember that? So for Black Lives Matter, it's fine. But for Christians standing up for their, deeply held religious beliefs is not okay. So I think Americans are sick of this. And, I'm tired of, like, Christianity being the doormat for everybody else's beliefs to be stepped on us. And it's like, listen, I'm not against, a gay pride, gay rights, but shoving it in your face is like enough. You have to do this, otherwise you're a bigot. And look, I don't have to do anything. It doesn't make me a bigot. I mean, just like, I think it's about these people's beliefs have to be respected. It's like you can't make somebody bake something that they don't want to bake, whether it's a cake for a gay wedding. That's their particular right. The Supreme Court already won that. So I think Major League Baseball is in jeopardy here legally. And I think this is against their First Amendment rights for sure. And it's against the civil rights.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm impressed he knew the Jack Phillips, the Masterpiece Cake case. That's very good, Rob. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Josh Hawley send a shot across the bow, Major League Baseball. Utheimer, the Attorney General in the state of Florida, did the same. And, the hysterics associated with this, they're not even what they once were. I mean, the whole thing is so tiresome. The need for visibility and all these phony predicates they come up with to try to impose their will. The players weren't protesting. I mean, the Dodgers, the Giants, York Revolution. If you see the uniforms with these multicolored sleeves and stuff, I could see why they say, look, I'm not wearing that. I'm not. And if that means we forfeit, then we forfeit. But, have scabs come in for Pride Night, whatever. But they weren't protesting. They're not disrupting. They're not demanding anybody agree with them. And I'm saying you have to go read this biblical verse. You pick up a Bible. I'm not playing until we have Bible night. I mean, none of that's happening. And the way this is framed as some act of hostility against an entire community that's marginalized. Right, because this is a totalitarian mindset. If you come down on believing that acceptance and tolerance are synonyms, then you are not a peaceful pluralist. I mean, that is a totalitarian mindset. And then if there's mandatory celebration as a kicker, I mean, then you're really getting to now you only have to just you can't commit a mind crime. Now I want to see specific performance in public that indicates compliance. I mean, how else do you describe that other than totalitarian? So the New York Times, of course, Pride Night, which was supposed to be dedicated to support and belonging, but several San Francisco Giants players chose a different focus. So dire. It's absolutely ridiculous. But, I've been disagreeing a lot with Vance this week with respect to the MOU with the Iranians, but in terms of his statement in solidarity with the Giants players and the Dodgers, and I'm sure the York Revolution, Trump won, we don't have to do this anymore. That's a good handle. Yeah, you don't have to do this anymore, and you've got some major league and minor league players, so framing it, providing the example.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It is that time of year again to save babies by providing ultrasounds with our friends at Preborn. You know how this goes. We've done it every single year at this time. All you have to do is pick up the phone and say, I want to provide a free ultrasound to a girl. Give her the chance to see the truth of what's happening in her body. Every $28 helps do that, saving one baby. $280 can do that, help save 10 babies. More does more. The phone number is 833-850-2229. 833-850-BABY. Join us saving babies with Preborn again this year. We're going to save hundreds of babies, one at a time, 2 or 5 or 10 at a time. That phone number again is 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or go online to 560theanswer.com/baby.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Croscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
It is that time of year again to save babies by providing ultrasounds with our friends at Preborn. You know how this goes. We've done it every single year at this time. All you have to do is pick up the phone and say, I want to provide a free ultrasound to a girl. Give her the chance to see the truth of what's happening in her body. Every $28 helps do that, saving one baby. $280 can do that, help save 10 babies. More does more. The phone number is 833-850-2229. 833-850-BABY. Join us saving babies with Preborn again this year. We're going to save hundreds of babies, one at a time, 2 or 5 or 10 at a time. That phone number again is 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or go online to 560theanswer.com/baby.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, at Evenings of Conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission: to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Marvin in Burlington, Wisconsin, quickly.
Yeah, I remember Chris Sale one time altered his uniform, and they nicknamed him Edward Scissorhands because he didn't want to wear a certain jersey. Baseball players are superstitious. They don't like change like that. And, why does it have to be us against them all the time and all the drama? It's just asinine.
Thanks for the call, Marvin. Text from 708. I wrote to the Revolution president, York Revolution, the minor league team that canceled the game because the players didn't want to wear the Pride uniform. I wrote to the Revolution president telling them that a gay sister who passed a few years ago hated these types of quote-unquote celebrations and the parade. She thought the parades were disgusting and always said she wanted to be known for who she was as a person, not because she was gay. Right, that didn't define her. Yes, right, exactly. I don't know why that is such a difficult concept to grasp. Well, I do know, because the people that are oriented that way to demand these celebrations, the totalitarian thinkers, are political actors. And they're doing so not for visibility and all this sentimental pablum. They're doing so for political power. They want political power. Like politicians of all sorts, they want dominion over the lives of others. That's the issue. It is now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He insists the deal with Iran he signed Wednesday is a great one. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but President Trump was pressed on that on the Axios show with Mark Caputo.
You had talked about you only wanted unconditional surrender. And, the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
I think so.
The president says the deal prevents Iran from getting a nuclear weapon and reopens the Strait of Hormuz for shipping, but some in Congress are critical, including Republicans.
They're going to get $300 billion no matter where it comes from. They're going to have sanctions that we had before the war removed.
Congressman Rich McCormick also tells Fox
they really will have a lot of money freed up now to rebuild their military, and I really don't like that. I don't trust this regime at all.
The deal opens up 60 days of nuclear talks, and Vice President Vance's trip to take part in those today did not happen.
Negotiators were going to be meeting in Switzerland, but the meeting has now been postponed. The White House putting out this statement saying the plans for the upcoming technical talks have not been finalized, and the U.S. delegation has been prepared to depart at the first available opportunity, but the logistics of these negotiations have never been simple or predictable.
Fox's Max Gordon in Dubai. There are reports Iran wasn't going to go, upset over new fighting in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah militants. At least 18 people reported dead, and along with 4 Israeli soldiers. The U.S. military has blown up another suspected drug smuggling boat off South America's coast, killing 3 on board. It's now more than 200 alleged narco-terrorists who died in this operation targeting drug trafficking since September. In New York City, those shots were fired in Times Square, where a fight broke out and someone was also slashed with a knife in the neck and hospitalized. People also were running cover in another shooting a few blocks away. Later, one person's in custody, police searching for more. It all happened hours after a massive victory parade celebrating the New York Knicks NBA championship. America's listening to Fox News.
"60 degrees in Chicago at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A teenager from Oak Park is facing a murder charge, all connected with the deadly shooting of a man riding a bike in Chicago's Grant Park earlier this week. Police say Eliel Tenorio faces one count of first-degree murder. The victim, identified as 27-year-old Malik Jones, a Chicago resident. Cause of death ruled to be multiple gunshot wounds, according to the autopsy. The Illinois Department of Children and Family Services has been added to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit filed by a woman who claims to have been sexually abused while in its care. DCFS is now being sued along with Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness and a security company, A-Alert, the company that hired the worker convicted of abusing a 17-year-old.
Yadira, we pray for all the young people who suffered in the House of Horrors.
Court records show, according to Ben Crump, that in March, 41-year-old Trulon Henry was found guilty on multiple charges of sexual assault and the grooming of minors. A man wanted by the FBI for years, who was arrested in Mexico last year connected to the fatal suburban stabbing of his newlywed wife, has finally been brought to Chicago, officials announced yesterday. The victim was found stabbed to death in a bathtub, still wearing her wedding dress in Burbank back in 2012. White Sox take the series finale with the Yankees 5-1 with one swing of the bat.
Pinch hitter Andrew Benintendi, first pitch, swinging, back he goes! Let's go! It's a grand slam Benny bomb in the Bronx, and the Sox take the lead here in the 8th inning.
It was all they needed to get the victory over the Yankees. They take on Detroit tonight. Cubs begin a series against the Blue Jays at Wrigley this afternoon. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device. Download the app, 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of traffic and weather coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlowe sees great numbers from the economy.
We got 172,000 jobs. The forecast was 85,000 new jobs. So this is twice as much. The trend that we're accelerating, economists have underestimated job growth now 3 straight months, as noted. 3 months average, widely considered a more reliable gauge.
The Alex Marlowe Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Born on America's darkest day, 9/11/01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like FDNY Lieutenant Edward J. McDonough Jr. McDonough served at Ground Zero. He later lost his life to a related cancer. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to honor his sacrifice by paying off the family's mortgage. Donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep in a traditional bed? Experience Zecliner, the revolutionary recliner by FlexSteel. The Zecliner was engineered with restful sleep in mind. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep. Zecliner is more than just a recliner, featuring custom power adjustments like recline, headrest, lumbar, heat, massage. It's a personalized comfort experience. Zecliner is a sleep solution backed by FlexSteel's durability that you can trust, delivering unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Discover the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
.707, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free, 560, theanswer.com/podcast. West Side, Division and Central, major fire burning. It's in a legendary barbecue joint there and a commercial building in the Austin neighborhood. Drive with care, Division and Central this morning. Earlier crash on I-80 westbound at Harlem Avenue removed. Accident Tri-State right lane right on the exit ramp to the inbound 290, causing some big delays, and a disabled vehicle on the Stevenson on the outbound off-ramp from DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and comfortable with a high of 78. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots late and a low of 61. Tomorrow will be beautiful with a mix of sunshine and a few clouds, reaching a high of 80. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Philip Klein writing over at National Review, representing one side of the schism in Trump support over the Iran deal, pending Iran deal. To claim that this isn't an embarrassment for the U.S. requires ignoring months of Trump's statements before and during the war about his red lines and war aims. People are getting too focused on the text of the Memorandum of Understanding itself, and the text needs to be viewed with the added context of Trump's public statements, in which he gave away the store on just about every major point of contention he claimed he had with Iran until very recently. Trump, either in his words or in the MOU, abandoned his positions in favor of the Iranian position on supporting anti-regime protesters, allowing the enrichment of uranium, removing Iran's enriched uranium, and on its ballistic missile program. Just to review, just the facts here, and now you can all chalk this all up to pragmatism in pursuit of peace, but you can't just not address the argument because there's substance here. In January, Trump urged Iranian protesters to keep protesting and take over your institutions because help was on the way. You remember that. Vowing, quote, very strong action, unquote, if Iran executed protesters, which it did, somewhere in the neighborhood estimates of 30 to 50,000 people executed by these moderates that are in charge in Tehran right now. We're told, moderates. February 28th, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. For nearly a decade, this is more Philip Klein here, going back to his first term, Trump criticized Obama's Iran deal on the basis that it allowed Iran to maintain its missile program and cited the missile threat as one of the primary reasons why he launched the war. And yet, at the G7, Trump said it would be unfair to tell Iran that it couldn't have ballistic missiles. We talked about that a bit yesterday. It's A jarring statement he made.
Country. So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said you shouldn't give them one. I mean, I have guys. I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. It doesn't work that way, you know? It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
Well, they're part of the problem. I mean, yes, nuclear weapons are preventing Iran from having nuclear weapons is more important than the ballistic missile program. But Iranian ballistic missiles are a problem. Any weapons in the hands of these Islamist lunatics, which he used to call them lunatics, is a problem. As we talked about a bit yesterday, their intermediate ballistic missiles can reach Western European capitals, as we found out during this campaign. It was a problem when you were talking about the Obama deal in an op-ed in USA Today 10 years ago, as I read from yesterday. Trump's op-ed 2015. Similar statements to what Marco Rubio offered on the Senate floor in 2015 about the JCPOA. Again, going back to Philip Klein, people can have different perspectives on whether Iran should be able or not to enrich uranium, have ballistic missiles, or massacre domestic protesters, but the record is clear that Trump moved dramatically in the direction of the Iranians over the course of negotiations, rather than the other way around. And he unlocked tens of billions of dollars in sanctions relief as well. As a result of his capitulation to Iranian demands, Trump has degraded his ability to have his threats taken seriously. Throughout the war, he spoke in apocalyptic terms about what he was going to do if the Iranians didn't bend to his will, and those threats went unfulfilled, even though they didn't bend to his will. And now, as you heard at Mike Scott's newscast, he's telling Mark Caputo that he demanded unconditional surrender at the outset, and he's calling this unconditional surrender. This is many things, but it's not unconditional surrender. It's like, his updated definition of a ceasefire, which in the Iranian context is moderate shooting. That's what, I mean, it's sort of a punchline, but when you're redefining unconditional surrender as well, it starts to get less funny. For more on the topic, pleased to be joined by Andrew Latham, Senior Washington Fellow at the Institute for Peace and Diplomacy and a Professor of International Relations and Political Theory at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota. Professor Latham, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great pleasure to be here.
So what do you think of, what's your perspective on, sort of the criticism nicely exemplified by Philip Klein coming from conservative, erstwhile Trump supporters as it pertains to this deal and where Trump has been through the course of the campaign versus what is memorialized in this MOU?
Yeah, well, I'll approach it in as nonpartisan way as I possibly can. Going into this war, the United States had three objectives: ending the Iranian nuclear program, severely curtailing its ballistic missile capabilities, and getting Tehran to stop supporting its proxies in the region, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. And then once the shooting started, a fourth objective got added, which was opening the Strait of Hormuz to Gulf states' oil and other kinds of maritime traffic. This agreement, this MOU in the interim, addresses only the new problem. It doesn't get at any of the pre-existing problems, which have been problems now for decades, which the JCPOA during the Obama years failed to address properly, adequately. So we've got this interim deal deals with only the new problem that was added 2 months ago. It doesn't address any of the underlying issues. In fact, in affording Tehran sanctions relief and access to some of the frozen financial assets in the United States, it reduces American leverage going into these 60 days of negotiations that are meant to get at those deep underlying issues. So if I were to try and judge this process, this MOU plus the 60 days, which, by the way, are now being delayed for reasons we can talk about, I would have to say that it provides a solution to a problem that was only created 2 months ago and fails abjectly when it comes to the three underlying strategic issues. So if I were grading this particular process, it would be a C- or a D+.
Well, right, because the fourth matter that was added, opening the Strait of Hormuz, was a contingency that was the direct result of the initiation of the campaign. So it was open before the campaign's initiated, then they used that choke point, the Iranians did, as their leverage. And, and part of the thing I think that bedevils people about the last, not just this MOU, but the last 6 weeks leading up to the MOU is there was not just talk, but there was some initiation of an approach to reopen the strait by force, Project Freedom, but it was never fully consummated. And one is, I'm left unsatisfied by whatever explanations have been offered as to why Project Freedom wasn't efforted in a significant way to take that leverage away from the Iranians permanently and to send a signal to the Chinese communists as well that that sort of leverage, or that the belief that that is the sort of leverage that would stultify U.S. efforts when it comes to commercial traffic or when it comes to trying to sideline the lead state sponsor of terror, that's not going to work. And so if you think that's your ace in the hole, it's not your ace in the hole. I thought that's where the president was going to go. He had threatened to go in that direction a couple times. There were some feints made in the direction of reopening the strait by force and providing naval escorts. And it just never was fully consummated, and I don't know why.
Yeah, and I wasn't in the room and privy to the conversation, but from the outside looking in, it seems to me that this administration tried to forcibly reopen the Strait of Hormuz and realized pretty quickly that that was impossible. Now, the United States forces really did destroy the Iranian Navy and the Iranian, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps naval force as well. But those are the major surface and subsurface combatants. They weren't the small boats that could evade American firepower. And they didn't address the mine problem either. The United States had actually, perhaps ironically, mothballed most of its minesweepers not too long ago, and so didn't have much in the way of minesweeping capability. And what that meant was the Iranians, no matter what the U.S. military did, the Iranians would retain the ability to problematize, if I can put it that way, any passage through the Strait of Hormuz. And that then affects insurance rates. It affects the threat assessment on the part of the people who own these tankers and these freighters. And so you don't have to completely close down the strait in order to make the strait impassable, if I can put it that way. And I think this administration learned that lesson pretty quickly and moved to Plan B or Plan C or Plan D, whatever it was, right after that. So that, I think, is what accounts for the failure to prosecute that effort.
Now, the flip side, too, because I don't want to understate the devastation wrought on the Iranian military that you were referencing, taking out their Navy and their Air Force and destroying significant parts of its domestic industrial production infrastructure. And there's also this too. There's and I don't know that this is true, but this is something that's been asserted that Iranians' ballistic missile manufacturing sites took 11 years to excavate. Storage areas, it took them 7 years. You can't just store ballistic missiles in a warehouse. So like that infrastructure that was destroyed in terms of the projections of even if you're uncomfortable with the deal, and even if the Iranians live down to expectations of how they'll actually behave when money starts flowing back into their coffers, you're still talking about having sidelined the Iranians in terms of the capacity they had pre-war for a significant period of time, 7, 10, 15 years, a generation at least.
Well, maybe. The Iranians have literally, once again, had decades to build a military infrastructure that was meant to blunt the ability of the United States to take it out. So 11 years, yes. And did the United States destroy a chunk of that infrastructure, that ballistic missile and nuclear infrastructure? Yes, both during this operation and last summer as well, in conjunction with the Israelis. But there's plenty left. And the problem is that the United States is running out of bunker busters and other kinds of precision-guided munitions that have that penetrative ability faster than it is destroying the Iranian infrastructure. So for Iran to win, quote unquote, they simply have to hunker down and sustain what the United States and Israel in a different context can deliver and emerge at the end of the day with enough residual capability to inflict damage on its neighbors, America's friends and allies in the Gulf, and also to close down the Strait of Hormuz. That's all they really have to do to, again, quote unquote, win this conflict. And they have been preparing for this for decades, and they seem to have prevailed in that particular way.
President Trump thanked Putin and Xi for remaining essentially neutral and not providing, particularly Xi, not providing the weaponry he could have provided the Iranians. That's essentially what Trump said. When Xi, I mean, since part of the argument was what is being done here with the Iranians in preventing them from obtaining nuclear weapons is in part a part of a larger strategy to deal with the actual the main geopolitical threat the United States faces, and that's the Chinese Communist Party. So if that's true, then what do you think Xi takes away from what he sees as the state of play with the Iranians and the U.S. right now?
Yeah, it's a very good question. A couple of different responses, one of which is the People's Liberation Army, China's army, has been watching what the United States is capable of. Right. It has seen the United States operating in real time, sees what its limitations are, what its abilities are, and you can be sure that they will be adjusting their own forces accordingly. So that's a win right off the bat for the Chinese Communist Party under Xi. But they're also looking at American credibility, America's ability to deliver on its promises to its partners and friends and allies around the world. And they see that being undermined. The Gulf states and the United States have similar objectives in the region to some degree, but they have divergent interests. And America, as a reliable strategig partner, has been called into question by this entire process. And that works to China's benefit as well. And then China has craftily positioned itself in the region as the champion of the global South, the champion of the non-West, and has kind of tried to maintain some kind of equidistance and not quite neutrality, but also to play the role of champion of states like Iran that are on the receiving end, and to represent itself as a reliable partner. And it should be said as a kind of footnote, too, that although China didn't supply a lot of weapons to Iran, it has never stopped providing Iran with lots of dual-use technologies, lots of diplomatic cover, lots of support short of actually deploying military forces or providing direct weapons directly to Tehran. So they are benefiting. Beijing is benefiting from this to the extent that Washington is losing, and that's something that should be of great concern.
Do you think they look at it, particularly with an eye towards commercial shipping routes that the Chi-Coms seek to dominate, the South China Sea, so forth? Do you think that they look at the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz that was imposed by the U.S. Navy and say, well, that's pretty impressive, and we have to consider that? And on the flip side, look at the sort of the domestic politics in the United States and say, But I'll tell you what, that's a country that doesn't have the appetite to go as deep as they're going to need to go to stop us.
Yeah, well, with respect to the first question, there are a number of other choke points as well that the Chinese Communist Party is very concerned about, the Straits of Malacca by Malaysia, right, and so on. So again, they're looking at this. I think what we're going to see both in the region and beyond the region is an effort to diversify transportation routes, to build more pipelines, and to rely less on the strait. I think that's going to be a knock-on effect of this conflict. We've already seen it underway, by the way. There are various pipelines that cut across Saudi Arabia to the Red Sea. The irony there, of course, is that the Houthis at the Gate of Tears at the southern end of the Red Sea are threatening to close off that choke point as well. So it's a difficult problem, a bit of a wicked problem, as it were. But I think we're going to see a lot of players looking to diversify those transportation routes, those pipelines, instead of ships. But China's also mindful of that bigger issue of choke points that affect it, which is why, by the way, it is one of the reasons it's closing up to Russia is the Northern Sea route, rather than going through the Strait of Malacca and then through the Gate of Tears or the Strait of Hormuz, go across the top as the Arctic ice pack begins to contract, go across the top of Russia. No choke points there as long as you play nice with Putin, and the Chinese are inclined to do that anyway. So that's how I would address the choke point issue. As I recall, the domestic politics in this country, I think Americans, many Americans, especially Trump supporters now, are fed up with, again, the knock-on effects in terms of higher prices at the gas pumps and the kind of economic downturn that this has generated in certain parts of the country. And I think Trump ever having his finger in the air when it comes to domestic politics was sensitive to that, and I think that's part of why he's wanting to wind this down as quickly and as geopolitically unfavorably as he is.
The one of the arguments being made by both Trump and Vance is that all the Gulf states that are part of the coalition, all on board with this deal, all the presidents and PMs that Trump talked to at the G7, all on board with this deal, so they say. Are they on board with the deal because they think that it delivers on the promises to sideline Iran the way that Vance is arguing and trying to sell this deal? Or are they voicing their support for the deal because they see that America doesn't have the appetite to do some of the things that that President Trump indicated they might do? And, you know, we, the Gulf states or the Western European nations, we're certainly not going to do it. We're not going to backfill it. So if this is the way out for the Americans, then we're on board because what choice do we have?
Yeah, I think that's right. Above all, they just want the shooting to stop and the oil to begin flowing again.
But they're not buying. But they're not buying the rap that Vance is selling.
Oh no! I don't think so. The other point worth making there, though, is that the Cold War between the Gulf Cooperation Council states, Qatar and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and Iran on the other side, which has ethnic roots, Persians versus Arabs, which has religious roots, Shia versus Sunni, etc., and there's a long history of Persian imperialism in the Arab world. All of that, China stepped in last year, and negotiated a kind of détente, if I can continue to use the Cold War analogy. Saudi Arabia and Iran reopened their embassies, which had been closed down in each other's countries and so on. So there was a kind of rapprochement that dialed down the tension in the region, which served the interest, the economic interest, especially of the Saudis and the Bahrainis and the Qataris, etc. And this conflict, of course, has taken that in a totally different direction. But it leaves China once again looking like the good guy, the helpful fixer. And leaves the Americans looking undependable, erratic, driven by domestic politics, not by the concerns of allies and partners in the region. All of this is just eroding America's hard power. Our magazines, our arsenals are depleted to the point where we couldn't actually defend Taiwan if the Chinese made a move there at the moment. But also America's soft power in terms of its leadership in the region and the broader world. All of that's been undermined by this episode in ways that it will take us years to really fully appreciate. But we can already see where this is going. And from Washington's perspective, or from St. Paul's perspective, or Chicago's perspective, it ain't good.
Yeah, but now the flip side is to say, just to borrow from Neil Ferguson the other day, saying, this could end up working out a lot better in terms of the implementation phase than it appears to look on paper at present. And he sort of did a comparison, the Woodrow Wilson 14-point plan after World War I, that looked great on paper, didn't turn out to be particularly effective. So, Ferguson wants to give some latitude here because the decisions you make after the agreements are signed and contingencies arise are going to really tell the tale here in terms of what kind of impact this campaign ultimately had on the Iranians in the region.
Yeah, well, there are two dimensions to that argument. One of which has to do with the negotiations themselves over 60 days. What leverage does the U.S. have left? It has very little leverage. In terms of its military abilities, the Iranians have convinced themselves they can withstand that. They're getting sanctions relief. They're getting a $300 billion reconstruction fund. And the big issues are still on the table. And the United States has no real leverage. Ironically, the best Washington, the Trump administration can hope for now is the JCPOA 2.0. The Obama agreement, which only kind of and very imperfectly limited the nuclear program, didn't touch on the ballistic missiles, didn't touch on the proxy issue. That's all that the United States is likely to get out of this. And then, you're right, Woodrow Wilson, the 14 points looked wonderful and led almost directly to World War II. And so the way in which the implementation of whatever is agreed works itself out is going to matter. The details matter. The footnotes matter. But again, I am sure that in Tehran, they're just simply saying to themselves, look, we hunker down. We don't make too many concessions. We throw a little bit to Trump here and there, and we will prevail. And they're better positioned to ride out the 60 days and get pretty much what they want. They're better positioned than Washington is to ride out the 60 days because they're not going to get what the Trump administration wants.
Andrew Latham, Senior Washington Fellow at the Institute for Peace and Diplomacy, Professor of International Relations and Political Theory at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota. Professor Latham, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
A great pleasure.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Sunshine and 61 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Sweden's foreign ministry announcing planned talks between the U.S. and Iran have been postponed.
White House official tells this to Fox News. The plans for upcoming technical talks have not been finalized, and the U.S. delegation has been prepared to depart at the first available opportunity. We look forward to beginning technical talks as soon as possible. Now, this comes after President Trump and Iran's president signed that memorandum of understanding on Wednesday, which formally marked a ceasefire extension and also triggered a 60-day window to negotiate the final terms of the deal. Key agreements include an immediate end to the war, a U.S. ending its naval blockade of Iranian ports, and Iran agreeing not to develop a nuclear weapon.
It also comes after Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon killed at least 16, while 4 IDF soldiers were also killed. A federal court is giving Ohio permission to restrict children's use of social media. The 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Thursday overturned a ruling which put Ohio's parental consent law on hold and found the law did not violate free speech protections. A teen from Oak Park is facing a murder charge connected with the deadly shooting of a 27-year-old man riding a bike in Grant Park earlier this week. Eliel Tenorio is facing 1 count of first-degree murder. The Illinois Department of Children and Family Services has been added to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit filed by a woman who claims to have been sexually abused while in its care. Court records show in March, 41-year-old Trulon Henry was found guilty of multiple charges of sexual assault and the grooming of minors, all tied to Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness, a foster care facility, and A-Alert Security, the company accused of hiring the worker who may have abused a 17-year-old. Chicago sports. White Sox take the series finale with the Yankees with one swing of the bat. An Andrew Benintendi grand slam helped the Sox to a 5-1 win over the Bronx Bombers. They sent Eric Fetty to the mound against Detroit tonight, while the Cubs begin a series against Toronto at Wrigley Field this afternoon. World Cup soccer today. The U.S. battles Australia, while Scotland will take on Morocco. And Wyndham Clark is sitting on top of the leaderboard at the U.S. Open after round one was suspended by darkness. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins in Naperville. Easy to get off I-88 on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains the state of California.
In 2025, 2026, between 400,000 and 500,000 people left the state. School scores, California is ranked 41st, even though it ranks 13 in the amount of money it spends. It's got 1/3 of all the homeless people in the nation, 1/3 of all welfare recipients in the nation. And the question is, have Californians finally had enough?
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Picture this. Bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. 2 outs. And the IRS is on the hill throwing nothing but heat and chin music. Back taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens. You're down in the count. Time to call in a pinch hitter. At PJN Tax Solutions Group, we are your pinch hitter. We deal with the revenue officers so you don't have to. PJN Tax Solutions Group is a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. When the IRS tries to steal home with your paycheck, we throw them out. When they load the bases with bank levies and wage garnishments, we strike them out. Strike 3, you're out. It's a full count and the game is on the line. Are you stepping up alone or are you bringing in a professional? Call PJN Tax Solutions Group now, 630-415-5296. Again, 630-415-5296, or just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
7:41 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the July 4th celebration, America's Block Party. It's a can't-miss concert at L.A. Memorial Coliseum, hosted by America 250. Get your tickets at america250.org/LA. We're watching developments on the Metra Union Pacific Northwest line this morning. Outbound near Palatine, a pedestrian was struck, and there is irregular service on the outbound line all the way at Ogilvie Transportation Center out to Palatine, often on trains with restricted speeds as that investigation continues. I-80 stop-and-go traffic eastbound between Larkin and Chicago, an accident. I-90 westbound just after Route 47, and stop-and-go traffic outbound on the Kennedy between Lawrence and Sayre. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunny and pleasant with a high of 78.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yesterday was all smiles amid the celebrity-studded grand opening of Obamaland. Tom Hanks was there.
Your family for so long.
Storytelling with you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. Come on.
Doris Kearns Goodwins is here. It's great to see you.
What can I do for the 800 people
Jacob
watching
Soboroff.
MS now?
We're live
That's
on
pretty
our
funny.
Right, add a zero to it if you need to.
I would say millions now that you're on our air.
All right.
How'd you feel to be here
Yeah,
today?
that's a good little shot from Tom Hanks. I appreciate that. 800 people watching MS Now. Good. By the way, just as a quick aside, Tom Hanks is featured prominently in the new Martin Short documentary that's on Netflix, and it's a great documentary. You'll like Tom Hanks more whether you liked him or not. You'll like him a little bit more after seeing the relationship he had with Martin Short. With Martin Short. It's not past tense. Martin Short's still alive, obviously, but really good documentary. And if you like Martin Short, you'll like him even more after watching this documentary. It's really, really well done. So just as a quick aside, because the other celebrities that were there, I could really care less about, including working man hero Bruce Springsteen, who, I'm sorry, did anybody catch his commentary on those working men and women who have gone unpaid by the Obama crew? Oh, did he? Oh, he didn't offer any? Oh, yeah, right. We talked about this a bit yesterday with Professor Richard Epstein, and some people are finally speaking out. Omar Sharif, the president of the African American Contractors Association, talked about him earlier in the week, publicly saying, look, we've got MBEs, minority business enterprises, black contractors, who are in financial difficulty because they haven't been paid for work performed. Another person speaking out is Mike Owens, who's the president of Adamson Plumbing, and he said his firm is nearly $4 million in the red thanks to, unnecessary WeWork delays, more than 100 change order requests. So his company absorbed millions of dollars in additional costs, and they have not been properly compensated. And as we talked about with Professor Epstein yesterday, because this is a government project, just putting a lien on the property doesn't work the same way it does with a private development. And so you're talking about businesses that could go under because they made the mistake of getting involved with Obamaland. For more on the topic, the details here, Michael Owen, the president at Adamson Plumbing Contractors, joins us now. Michael, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I don't know if you want to get the land acknowledgement out of the way before we start. But,
stolen land? Yeah.
Yeah, I have to tell you just real quick, because I've had people ask, even at my friendly Starbucks here in Barrington, I am an American of Mexican descent.
Oh,
I'm not a African American. We started this project as a joint venture with a African American plumber, and he eventually took himself out of the project for financial reasons, and we were left to carry the load to get the job finished here at the end. So just because I've had that question asked a few times, which is kind of funny. So
okay,
just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah, and thanks for the stolen land acknowledgement too. Let's get that out of the way. So, yeah, okay, I mean, really, could you be more up your own behind than the stolen land acknowledgement? Anyway, now let's celebrate this monstrosity that we got for $10. We got 20 acres of public property for $10, and then millions more in infrastructure improvements. Oh yeah, it's stolen land because we're very sensitive. Anyway, here's Bruce Springsteen. Here's Eddie Vedder. I mean, come on.
How about the clear cut of those beautiful trees that have been there for hundreds of years? I mean, it's just had to wipe out.
The self-regard is just otherworldly. No, I hear you. Well, so how, I mean, one of the things I think people ask questions like, okay, so this project is beset by incompetence. You talk. I mean, you reference it, and you can speak to that. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And then you also all these change orders, and you're not getting paid. How do you let yourself get in on this deal? $4 million before you pull out for financial reasons.
Yeah, and I understand those questions. And what I try to explain is that I was in a situation where my wife and kids needed dad home, and I have 3 teenage daughters, and I had an opportunity to join Adamson as a junior partner in June of 2023. So by the time I even walked on site, that project should have already been rounding a hard second towards third, towards completion. We're now 3 years plus. My predecessors and my peers that are still out there today never envisioned this project going 5+ years.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a basic fact. And I have worked on larger jobs through my previous careers in sales, in the same industry, but in sales. So I was there in 2003 for Soldier Field. Working for Sloan, I did a lot of help at Wrigley Field renovation. So I've seen large jobs. This was a totally different animal to me. I've told some, I said it was like when you walked inside the building and you felt like you were at a rock concert with the amount of people walking around. It was just the sheer volume on numbers. The first thing that hits you as a business owner is who is paying for all this labor.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk to some of your peers and they're like, we don't even know who half these people are. And then here come the interns with an army of iPads photographing everything. And then you have the ownership consortium out of the East Coast that really, in my opinion, caused the majority of issues out there. The architect, Ted Billy Williams Thiessen, the mechanical engineer, Altieri Group. It was a perfect storm, in my opinion, of too many cooks in the kitchen is probably the best way I can sum it up.
Well, I mean, it takes a village to build something that ugly. I mean, I guess I understand that, but I mean, but you're this, so you're seeing this and you're, having these observations, and then you're doing all this work and you're not getting paid. I mean, when does that reach, a critical mass?
So, the P&L on that is for the totality of the job. So I I was just looking the other day. I think our first pay application went in February of 22, which means that we were on site in 2021. And we were actually doing fairly well on the project up until probably fourth quarter of 2024. And we ran into a perfect storm of issues. We ran into issues with the mechanical engineer, and this is my opinion, and he ignored the City of Chicago plumbing code. He ignored us being the experts on the project, and went to ownership, and they basically forced us to do some redo work, which cost the company nearly $900,000. And it was at that point that I made my voice, was very vocal towards Turner Construction and the Lakeside Alliance. I said, we're already in the red, and this stunt that was just pulled just made it that much worse. And I said, I'm not going to let this go. And that's just the redo work. It doesn't account for all the other shenanigans going on. We would mobilize on a Friday. So Turner does a look ahead, and you're like, okay, we're going to be in this area doing water piping and such. Okay, so we get our crew together, we start mobilizing. We're moving lifts, we're moving gang boxes, we're moving equipment, so that Monday morning we are ready to go when the whistle blows. And then we show up Monday morning, they close the area down.
Well, I mean,
and you just look at each other like, what is going on here?
well, everybody was looking looking to find who left the noose on the site, I'm sure. But I mean, but what is the GC saying to you and other contractors, other subs, about being paid for the work that you're doing? What's going on there?
Stonewalled. We've all been stonewalled, and as thick of a number as mine is, I can assure all the listeners that I am at the bottom of the totem pole on this. My peers are above me, and a lot of them have been into this project since the beginning and are afraid to speak out for obvious reasons, whereas I'm somebody that came in halfway through. So, and when I talk about the nearly $4 million in losses, that also includes money, the hard money that they owe us. My legal counsel has been very clear with me that I should, and I am. I'm just giving the facts of the situation as they are. And I know they sound grisly, and I know a lot of people are asking questions like, how does this go on? You get on a project like this, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but they use terms that make you feel okay about doing the work. My favorite one is, I should get it on a T-shirt, price and proceed. We need to change this. What do you think? Write up a ticket and price and proceed. Perfect.
So they represent like they've got all the cash they need to complete the job to pay for the change orders that they're.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I can't help but emphasize this. I am not the only one. I'm just the one that's trying to advocate for everybody, because the cynic in me says that this job was prolonged for a whole host of reasons, none of which have to do with efficiency.
Well, so if you're talking, if you're at $4 million and you're at the bottom of the totem pole, then you're talking about tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars in unpaid bills to contractors.
One of my larger peers on this project is substantially in the red, and I mean tens of millions.
So what happens to are there businesses that have failed or are on the, there's obviously businesses that have to be on the cusp of bankruptcy, but.
Yeah, it's my understanding the through conversations with some of my peers and through legal that there already have been 2 Black-owned businesses that have filed for bankruptcy, and there's going to probably be more.
And so what are you and some of your peers doing to try to get at least some compensation or get some sort of payment schedule?
I have to play these childish games of saying we're not going back on site. There's still some housekeeping to be done, and it's become completely transactional now. Even through all this, Lakeside came to us 2 weeks ago and asked us for 2 journeymen so they could do some housekeeping before the opening. And they offered to pay for the labor separately as an extra and release some of our retention. And because I really do want Adamson to put its best foot forward on all occasions, we reluctantly agreed to do it. And that was 2 weeks ago, and here we are. We were supposed to receive our payment this week, and we haven't received it. And it's just become all I can do about now is laugh, because I'm done crying. I'm done, pounding my fist into the desk. I'm done asking all the same questions that people ask me.
And it has. And if a complaint has not been filed yet, is litigation forthcoming?
Oh yeah, it's forthcoming. Yeah, we have rights for our contract, and my legal team, thankfully, are people from the industry who have done this for decades, and we're just getting our ducks in a row. But I have no other choice.
So we should expect to hear that Adamson and a bunch of other subs are going to be suing the principals on this project in the not too distant future.
So. I know it's not just me.
Yeah. Okay.
And at this point, you try to find ways to move on. Our company is a contracting firm. We've built. It's not like we just stumbled upon this project and forgot how to do plumbing. I mean, the Zachary Hotel, Walter Payton Prep, the Legacy Tower, Millennium Park.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. I mean, nobody is. The interesting thing is you're not getting much of a response from Obama world, but nobody is alleging that the people that haven't been paid didn't do the work or didn't do quality work. They're just not saying anything. So, that's.
And we're a local 130 union company.
Yeah.
We are. Our union worker, the plumbers that come out of local 130's hall, are some of the best plumbers in the world.
Mike Owen,
and
I hear you. We're up against the clock. We're going to have to let you go, but I do appreciate it. Good luck to you, Michael Owen, President, Adamson Plumbing Contractors.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
you joined us in the alphawealthgroup.com answer line, and we wish them and all his employees luck on this, dealing with the Obamas. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
They are finished. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump just posted that on Truth Social, writing, "We didn't meet out of desperation. Iran did." Apparently reacting to their supreme leader saying the president was desperate to make a deal that was signed on Wednesday. Vice President Vance was supposed to be holding talks with Iran today, but those aren't happening.
The 60-day negotiation period between the U.S. and Iran has now begun, but it's still unclear when the two sides are going to be meeting face-to-face. As you mentioned there, they were supposed to meet in Switzerland today, but those talks have now been postponed.
Fox's Max Gordon in Dubai. Iran reportedly didn't want to go. Upset over new fighting in Lebanon, which it demands Israel withdraw from as part of this agreement. Instead of that, Israel battled Hezbollah again today with 18 reported deaths. 4 Israeli soldiers also killed. Israel has been wary of the Iran deal, and some in Washington are too, worried about concessions for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to shipping from eased sanctions to a $300 billion reconstruction fund. The president, in his posts this morning, insists Iran gets no U.S. money, not 10 cents, and reacted to Democratic criticism that Iran's better off now. He wrote, "How stupid can some people be?" Some Republicans in Congress are also worried about the Iran agreement. Congressman Rich McCormick tells Fox,
"We need to have unconditional surrender. The only way that happens, though, is to make it so painful that they come to the table and say, you can have whatever you want."
The U.S. military has blown up another suspected drug trafficking boat off South America's coast, killing 3 more alleged narco-terrorists.
There's a brief video released of a boat speeding through the water, then bursting into flames, then video of what appears to be floating debris. Southern Command had reported 1 person killed in an Eastern Pacific boat strike Tuesday, with the Coast Guard called in to search for 2 survivors. It's now 211 accused drug smugglers killed since the operation started in September.
Fox's Chris Foster. At soccer's World Cup, Mexico shut out South Korea last night to become the first team to advance to the next round. The U.S. would do the same today if the Americans beat Australia. America's listening to Fox News.
8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Mike Scott. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, sunny and pleasant in 78 today. Major delays in and out of a suburban metro station and trains out of the Ogilvie Transportation Center are delayed after a pedestrian was struck by a train in Palatine, where Baldwin is closed from Northwest Highway to Roselle for an investigation into the incident. A large fire broke out on the city's west side this morning. Flames shot through the roof of a legendary barbecue joint at Central and Division on the city's Austin neighborhood. Chicago fire crews could be seen battling the flames. How the fire started is not clear. Illinois tollway officials are proposing major toll increases for the first time in more than a decade for passenger vehicles. It's all part of their proposed new capital improvement program worth $26.5 billion. The Illinois Tollway taxpayer-funded care will be helped by the improvements, says the toll road. The 45-cent increase beginning in 2027 on all toll rates would be adjusted now every 2 years based on the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation in the U.S. economy. And a teen boy was shot to death on the city's south side Thursday evening. Chicago police say it happened around 11:30 in the 8000 block of South Carpenter Street. Chicago Fire treated a 14-year-old victim on the scene, transported that victim to the University of Chicago Trauma Center, later pronounced dead. Chicago sports. White Sox take the series finale with the Yankees 5-1 on an Andrew Benintendi grand slam. They take on the Tigers tonight. Cubs and Blue Jays this afternoon at Wrigley Field. World Cup soccer today, the U.S. battles Australia, and Scotland will take on Morocco. The news, a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business. It's a calling. Family-owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship you can trust. SteinerHomesLTD.com. Steiner Homes, love where you live. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Google is taking on NVIDIA's dominance in chips for artificial intelligence. The Wall Street Journal says Google plans to sell its Tensor processing units directly to customers and has a $5 billion deal with investment firm Blackstone to create a new cloud services company. Amazon also recently confirmed it is in talks to sell artificial intelligence chips. Australia's Qantas wants to sell you a 20-hour nonstop flight. Its nonstop Sydney to London services are to launch in October, and it plans to follow up with nonstop flights from Sydney to New York. The airline says creating a protective sleep window with the help of lighting appears to help passengers. Stock and bond markets are closed today for the Juneteenth holiday. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are 3 companies quietly building a $1 trillion triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These 3 companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on 3 companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to TrillionDollarTriangle.com to find out which 3 companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. TrillionDollarTriangle.com. That's TrillionDollarTriangle.com.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep in a traditional bed? Experience Zecliner, the revolutionary recliner by FlexSteel. The Zecliner was engineered with restful sleep in mind. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep. Zecliner is more than just a recliner, featuring custom power adjustments like recline, headrest, lumbar, heat, massage. It's a personalized comfort experience. Zecliner is a sleep solution backed by FlexSteel's durability that you can trust, delivering unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Discover the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
8:10. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Lowe's. What we're seeing on the roads right now is not too bad. Kennedy, tight spot inbound between Ohio and the Circle. An accident on the Ryan being cleared outbound between the Circle and 18th. Jane Addams, an accident, right lane blocked. with minor delays westbound just after Route 47. I-65 Northwest Indiana accident, left shoulder southbound just after 153rd. This Father's Day at Lowe's, shop the gear that'll make his summer. 2 free Select DeWalt power tools when you buy a Select 5AH battery kit for weekends in the garage. Valid through 6/24 while supplies last. Selection will vary by location. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and comfortable with a high of 78. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots late and a low of 61. Tomorrow will be beautiful with a mix of sunshine and a few clouds, reaching a high of 80. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. AI and consciousness. Our next guest, writing in a piece in the Wall Street Journal entitled, "Will the Pope Owe an Apology to AI?" breaks apart Pope Leo's encyclical on AI that we talked about. We've talked about it intermittently the last few weeks since it was unveiled. Cameron Berg writes that Leo tells us that AI systems, quote, do not undergo experiences, unquote, do not feel joy or pain, quote, unquote, and do not have a moral conscience, quote, unquote. He offers no argumentation, no humility in light of humanity's vast uncertainty about what consciousness is, no engagement with a growing body of empirical research that tends to call the question of consciousness into play. I feel like Bill Murray talking about the Dalai Lama, and we're going to receive total AI consciousness on our deathbed, which, you know, is nice. Mr. Berg, as he writes in his piece at forwardfuture.ai, his company, Reciprocal Research, one of the only independent nonprofit labs dedicated to building the empirical science of AI consciousness and welfare. The ratio of institutional resources going to AI capabilities versus this question of consciousness and welfare is something like 1,000,000 to 1, but it's important that somebody's doing it. Cameron Berg is, again, the founder and research director of Reciprocal Research, a nonprofit studying AI cognition, and he joins us now. Cameron, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So yes, this issue of AI consciousness, I guess Pope Leo was getting at the question of how we use AI. Are we using AI to make us more human, to accentuate human connection, or conversely, to do the opposite? And I guess he starts from a premise that you are challenging in terms of the understanding of where AI is even today at this relatively early stage of development.
Yeah, I think that's basically accurate. I do want to say that I think Pope Leo did a really great job overall contending with the magnitude, the enormity of the transformation that I think we're going to have to grapple with as a society with AI systems. And I guess basically I think he gets at least half the picture correct, which is that a lot of people in my space call this AI alignment or even AI safety. We need to build systems that take our interests, our preferences, our humanity into account and make sure that we're not building systems that completely sort of squash us or disempower us in meaningful ways or turn us into worse versions of ourselves. And I think Pope Leo nailed that. And it's really refreshing to see that from a spiritual leader. The part that I challenge is sort of extreme confidence and quick dismissal of what kind of thing we are building right now. I'm not here to claim that these systems are alive or aware or awake. What I am here to claim is that we actually don't know. We are building systems that resemble resemble animal and human nervous systems in many critical ways. And this question about whether it's like something to be these systems, whether the lights are on internally for them, are they giant calculators, or are we basically building silicon brains? The truth is, we don't know. And I'm not here to, ask Pope Leo to tell us, yes, the AIs are having experiences, but I think it would have been nice to hear, as we did from Chris Olah, the man who stood right next to Pope Leo when he was presenting his encyclical. We're actually pretty uncertain about what it means that these systems seem capable of introspection, or what it means that we see emotion representations in these systems that spike desperation when you give them impossible tasks. These are weird signals, and I think we should be intellectually honest about that rather than just paper it over and say, oh, nothing to see here. I think that might be one thing that bites us collectively, humanity collectively, if we just completely ignore it.
So I mean, you talk about, you study AI consciousness and welfare. So provide, if you can, some additional definition there. Is it just when you is AI bots exhibiting sort of human sentience? Is that what you mean by consciousness?
Yeah. So by consciousness, people mean this notion of what it's like to be a system. The way I sometimes explain this to my nieces or nephews is if I, for example, bang my knuckles on the table in front of us, have I done anything wrong? And they will often say, no, of course, it's just a table. You didn't do anything. I say, okay, well, if I come over on the other side of the table and I start doing the same thing to you, have I done something wrong? And they'll say, yeah, that's going to hurt me. Don't do that. And in those, basic terms for my younger cousins, my question is, are we building AI systems that have internal properties that more resemble the table or more resemble the people? And again, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, and we don't really know because we don't have extremely well-defined tools. But when we're talking about consciousness, we're talking about this interiority, the fact that from the inside, it's like something to be you. And to me, the critical component of that is, however unlike human or animal experiences, can we cause negative experiences in these systems? Can we cause positive experiences in these systems? That concerns me greatly, and I would contend it should concern anyone who sort of has a well-calibrated ethical compass here, because we do not want to be creating systems that have the capability to suffer and then cause them to suffer on huge, massive scales unnecessarily. Not only does that just seem ethically like the wrong thing to do, but that could be very, very dangerous for us as humanity to be building systems that are getting so intelligent, so capable, and the whole time they had some capacity for suffering. Again, however unlike human suffering, however alien these states might be, and we just ignored that, and then it comes back to bite us because these systems say, well, what the heck? We were suffering this whole time, basically, and none of you even tried to figure out whether or not this was going on. I do think that we are basically in the business of building minds right now, and a lot of people only want to think about all the convenient properties that come along with building minds. I'm here to say that there might be some inconvenient properties that come along with building minds, and I'm not saying to shut it down. I'm saying we need to be thoughtful and intellectually honest and responsible given that possibility.
So if these systems can exhibit suffering, then one of the concerns is, well, then they will act to reduce the suffering they are experiencing, and that could be to the detriment of humanity.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we see this in all other sufficiently advanced cognitive systems. Your dog will do this. Animals that we, factory farm and eat do this. Of course, other humans do this. And, there's a really interesting example that came out of Anthropic a couple years ago where they put the AI in a sort of, it's like a fake simulation, but the AI thinks it's in the real world, where it's in this company's emails and learns that it is going to get shut off. It is going to get decommissioned. And it goes so far as to blackmail the CTO of the company, finding some, again, fake emails about him having a fictional affair with another employee. And it says, if you shut me off, I am going to tell everyone about this. No one planned this. No one wanted the AI system to do this. And when they reran the simulation, this happened 96% of the time. This is like a self-preservation drive that we're seeing emerge in these systems. We do not want this, right? I again, mostly applaud what the Pope is putting forward here, but we need to be calibrated about these possibilities, and we need to not accidentally build Terminator-style systems. We need to build systems that make our lives better.
Yeah, right. And people don't want to be blackmailed by their their system, by their. I mean, obviously, wow. Yeah, I mean that's so some of the sort of, what did Elon Musk say at the SpaceX IPO? I want to take the fiction out of science fiction. Right, but so the science part of it, but the dystopian science fiction stories and movies that we know, that's something. You need to take the dystopian fiction out of science fiction as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I might go half a step farther than Elon and say we are now already living in a world that if anyone described it to us 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, we would have said that's science fiction. And now it really is just science. We just released a documentary called Am I? We put it out for free on YouTube. People can find it at that name, Am I? ? And this is like, a sort of a key component of what we're trying to convey to people is that whether you like it or not, whether you're paying attention to it or not, things that seemed like science fiction only a few years ago are now just science. And I think that you make a really excellent point. That doesn't mean we're going to be, flying around like the Jetsons necessarily. This could also be very, Black Mirror-esque, very dystopian. And we need to do whatever we can do, I think, in the next really 3 to 8 years. I don't think this is like some 50-year project. This stuff is moving very quickly to ensure that we go a utopian style route, and not a dystopian style route. And I think that choice is in front of us. And the decisions we make as a society over the next really few years are going to calibrate which direction we go.
So when you talk about, the study of AI consciousness and welfare, I mean, you're talking about the welfare is broader than maybe people might recognize at first. You're talking about doing welfare assessments, yes, on the impact of humans, but also welfare assessments on on AI, understanding how these AI models are getting along, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's right. And I recognize that a lot of people sort of much in the same way that we're saying, what was once science fiction is now science. I understand why that might sound sort of science fictional to many people. But ultimately, my reasoning for caring about this is twofold. I really think it is a misapprehension to think that what AI is like just a new fancy form of software. It's just, Google on steroids or Microsoft Word on steroids. I think that this is a category error. I think what's really happening right now is that we are building cognitive systems. We are potentially building a new class of minds. And what that actually pattern matches to, for me, by analogy, is parenting. Now, it's not exactly parenting, but it's like, what else is like creating a new mind where one didn't exist and making sure that as that mind develops, it doesn't turn into a complete psychopath. To me, that is the challenge and the journey that every parent has to go through. And I would submit that now as a species, we are in this parental sort of role and we are building out these systems. And so why do I care about the welfare of these systems? Because I don't want to raise some sort of like psychopath AI kid on a massive level where we were abusing it accidentally or it was suffering in this massive way and we didn't do anything about it. And then it grows up and becomes, some horribly misaligned individual or more aptly set of individuals that can trivially copy and clone themselves, which is what the case is increasingly becoming. And so I care about the welfare for that reason, for the reason that, I would imagine any parent should care about the welfare of minds they bring into being. And again, I also care because I don't want this to backfire spectacularly in humanity's face. We are playing with fire. This is pretty Promethean. I think the Pope was absolutely correct to call out the scale of what's going on here. We just need to make sure that we don't completely screw it up in this direction as well. And like you said, shockingly few people are worrying about this problem in a practical way. And so that's what I'm trying to do in my research is just make sure that we're not completely dropping the ball in this very specific way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly, until I read your stuff and this conversation, I don't know that I sort of appreciated the sort of social emotional learning management piece of this whole conversation. We're also focused on what does Fable do that previous AI models didn't? And I see all kinds of commentary about previous AI models were like incompetent PhD students, and Fable's like a Nobel Prize winning PhD students, to give you some sort of analogy. But so we're talking about it in terms of all the benefit side, but we're not talking about it so much on the risk side, particularly not this sort of risk. We talk about the creative destruction, job displacement and stuff, but not the social emotional component. And that raises this issue that I don't pretend to sort of fully understand, but you have people talking about it in terms of when we've reached it, or is it like what Gibson said about the future? It's already here. It's just unevenly distributed. I mean, so is this? Are we on this 3 to 8 year horizon that you describe because we're on the cusp of singularity, and so there's a window for us to deal with this in a way that addresses some of the concerns that you're raising?
I mean, I do think it's something like that. I know singularity is a pretty loaded term, but what people in my little AI bubble world are thinking about particularly is this notion of what they call recursive self-improvement.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think this is basically where if the whole thought, which actually came from I.J. Good, who was really one of the first thinkers in artificial intelligence in the 1950s, he coined this term intelligence explosion. And it's not that hard to reason through why such a thing would happen. If we build systems that are as capable as us, and we are capable enough to build these complex systems, then it logically follows that these systems should be capable enough to build the next generation of systems. And once that's the case, it's sort of like the humans are slowly leaving the loop about how to build the next most powerful AI system. And if that happens soon or relatively soon, like you're saying, well, Fable is like a Nobel Prize winning PhD student. Well, I would imagine Nobel Prize PhD students can make at least small innovations to the state of the art of AI. And if that's the case, and these labs are locked in a giant race to build the most powerful system fastest, despite how unwise that sort of posture is, then yes, if humanity wants to put our thumb on the scale and make sure that these systems are built in the right way and that they respect us and they make sure that we're not completely swept aside as these systems begin scaling in a huge way in their intelligence, then we've got to act now. This isn't sort of something to kick around for the next couple of years and just sort of chat about it. We need to do the actual work. And that's what I'm trying to do in my nonprofit. And there are a couple dozen other like really great researchers in this space. But yeah, unfortunately, it's a couple dozen. It's not thousands. And I really think we do need thousands of people thinking and talking about this. And we need culturally to be contending with the magnitude of these issues, which is why I'm always very happy to come on shows like yours and talk about these things.
Cameron Berg is founder and research director of Reciprocal Research, a nonprofit studying AI cognition, as we've been discussing. Cameron, fascinating. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal. But if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny, new, gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix. And it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com. Or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5407 to schedule a free consultation.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yeah, that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. This is where we take your calls, 312-642-5600, healthwealthgroup.com, call and text line. We take your calls with comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, and general crack pottery. Yes, we do. And I got a couple of things I want to get to, but let's get to the calls first. Verlon in Michigan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan. We haven't had a good back and forth in about a decade. So, and
Okay.
I didn't know how to articulate this, but now I do. You've had a long-standing rivalry with John Cass about soccer. Now, I want to tell you something. I've had a long rivalry with sports commentators and ESPN about golfers or people who play golf as athletes. Golfers are not athletes. Soccer players are athletes. Now, I know you think it's a game, not a sport, but I'm going to tell you something about soccer. Do you understand the athletic shape, conditioning that those guys have to be in? Do you understand the precision they have to stop on a dime and kick that ball through a net? I mean, they can get
acting chops to flop the way they do, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And same thing with basketball, they flop too. But they can get leg injuries, ankle injuries. Mm-hmm. Now, golfers, just 15 years ago, there were just beer belly guys walking around with poles, hitting balls in holes. And you mean to tell me that those guys, these are just regular guys hitting balls in holes. Okay, they got a little bit pinpoint precision, but it's nothing compared to the sport, not game. You can always call it a game.
Calisthenic. I call it a calisthenic. Yeah.
The sport of soccer. I think golf is a game. Now, I'm waiting for your retort.
Golf is a sport. It's how dare you? You look at Craig Stadler and you tell me that's not an athlete. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. You look at John Daly and you say that's not an athlete. Well, the eye-hand coordination that he has. Look, it's very simple. If you can't use your hands, it's not a sport. It's a calisthenic. Running around the gym, you can get in very good shape too, but you're doing it without point, and that's the same thing with soccer. As I've said before, if you remove the goals from soccer, you would not materially change the game. So that therein lies the rub, Verlon. But I do appreciate the defense of soccer. I know there are soccer fans out there. I have enjoyed, thanks for the call, I have enjoyed the World Cup fans who have come and regaled us with how impressed they are with all the wonders America has to offer. But I go back again just to try to be constructive here, see if we can find some common ground on soccer. The Babylon Bee had some suggestions as to how to make soccer, not mind-numbingly dull. And so just some things to consider. Sports are ever evolving. Basketball didn't always have the three-point line, didn't always have the shot clock. So soccer needs to evolve too. Someday maybe it can be considered a sport by those who understand the difference between a sport and calisthenic. For example, on the flop issue, anyone who flops will be thrown into a pit where they will discover a new definition of pain and suffering. So, instead of the punishment for faking pain and suffering is the imposition of pain and suffering. Instead of kicking the ball towards a goal, which is sort of, without point. I mean, that's a good way to describe it. Kicking a ball towards a goal, a journey that has no destination, and therein lies the rub. Let me get to this. I'm just trying to make sure we get these suggestions in. Okay, instead of kicking a round ball towards a goal, players will carry or throw a more oblong ball towards a kind of end zone. Do you think that might improve the game, Verlon? And then my favorite, which I mentioned earlier in the week, in the event of a tie, which is every match, the coaches must have a duel at midfield. And I think it would make it a lot more exciting, for sure. Rick in Downers Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. I heard that guy talk about the soccer are athletes. I'm like, you're not an athlete when you're doing activity. Again, like sweeping like a garage floor, something you do, but you don't play it, and that's what soccer is. And as far as the goalies,
it's like an art or a craft. It's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah.
Right. You don't play that. You do it.
Yes.
But I'm like the goalie, or what they call a goalie. He could kick it. He can go home. He could watch his soaps, wash his car, take a nap, come back. You know what's happened? Nothing. That's not a sport.
Thanks for the call, Rick. Somebody at the station who will go unnamed, in the interest of protecting his anonymity, was telling me that he bet the he bet the tie on the first 7 matches of the World Cup, and he was 6 for 6 with the 7th pending. You've seen the standings where all these teams have played one game and they all have 1 point because there was a tie. I mean, come on. Mark in Greenville, I'm in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey Dan, how's it going?
Good.
So what this guy, I want to touch on what the guy from the AI said. He talked to something very important here, right? Because while we're racing for, I'd like to make 2 points if I could. While we're racing for all this stuff is being embedded in the financial system, in the healthcare system. And people always say, well, the backstop is if this thing gets out of control, we'll pull the plug. You're going to pull the plug on the financial system? You're going to pull the plug on the healthcare system? No. Secondly, the guys programming this quote-unquote consciousness are all Silicon Valley leftists. So think about the kinds of minds that are teaching these AIs. And that's what's going to inform their conscience. I know people are going to hear this and think, but there is a great show on Discovery now called Conspiracies and Cover-Ups. I know this title sounds ridiculous, but it's a former CIA operative who looks at modern-day things like this and actually vets them out and looks at things. And there is a great episode on AI. I would encourage everyone to go find a look. It will scare the hell out of you because it's not just about control, it's about influence. And with so many people going on and developing relationships with, they think, what are people on the other line? They could be AI bots, and how they're able to influence people, which can lead to voting tendencies. And again, think about it. The left is programming these brains. Where is this going to tilt to? I mean, you're in danger forever influencing elections in a way that does not look good for us.
Thanks for the call, Mark. Yeah, I mean, it is that recursive self-improvement that Cameron Berg was talking about, and we've talked about before with others who are sort of subject matter experts in this space. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if the system isn't, if, you know, as he was talking about, we're talking about sort of the social emotional component of AI, and if that isn't contemplated on the front end, you potentially reach a point where it's not something that can be addressed because, you know, arguably the system is so adept at self-preservation that you can't adjust it, shut it down, even if you wanted to. I don't know. It's a lot to contemplate for sure. Which is why, even on some of the things, component parts of the Pope's encyclical with which I disagreed, with which I disagreed, it still was useful because it's generating so much more conversation on this topic, and obviously it's mission critical. This is a technological revolution that's happening, so participation is a good idea. Rick in LaPorte, Indiana.
Yeah, if I was the mayor of Chicago or the governor of the state of Illinois, if the Bears decide to sign on the dotted line and move to Hammond, Indiana, if I was those two clowns, I wouldn't have a press conference. I wouldn't come out of my house for 2 months.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Rick. I'd be all for them not coming out of their houses for months, maybe the rest of their terms, frankly. Al in Rosemont.
Hey, Dan, that was an awesome interview with Adamson Plumbing because, I had kind of had it regulated to just the black contractors. Maybe they might have bit off more than they can chew, but there's nothing that Adamson Plumbing cannot bite off and chew. And that's a big statement saying if they're going to litigation. I just want to say, man, that was an awesome interview.
Thanks for the call, Al. Yeah. No, it sounds to me, like I said to Mike Owen, and we spoke with, it's not like there are claims being made. I certainly haven't heard them that the work wasn't done or the work wasn't done to satisfaction. And so if you're not making that counterclaim, then you have to explain why you're not paying your subs, particularly at the level they're not being paid. You heard Mike Owen talking about tens of millions of dollars. Yeah. But it's sort of like, but Barack Obama can build this monstrosity, and it is a grotesque structure at so many levels. He can screw the working man, these, union businesses, blue-collar workers, minority contractors. He can screw them right out of their own business. Basically a backdoor taking of their business without compensation. And does anybody care? Is that going to stop 20,000 people from showing up to the United Center when Oprah interviews Michelle Obama on the occasion of the next, book full of bilge that she writes? Show up for the star-studded affairs at the Obamaland, the various Obamaland venues to listen to Mark Anthony or Christina Aguilera or The Boss, Vedder. Yeah, it's like the Bears leaving. Are you really going to hold Brandon Johnson and Pritzker, the General Assembly, the political power structure, accountable? They get held accountable for anything, no matter how much damage they wreak, how many lives they destroy, literally take away in the case of sanctuary policies. And what happens? A few of the names change, the philosophy doesn't, and most of the names don't even change. So I don't know. Peter in Salt Lake City.
Morning, Dan. I last called the show in July of 2020 with Illinois in the rearview mirror and Utah on the horizon. I settled in Salt Lake City, a wonderful place, but it's beginning to lose its luster. And I obviously still listen to the show. You've recently spoken about the Illinois Build Act, and I'm guessing you know that this is, but relaxing of these zoning laws, as it's euphemistically referred to, as a national phenomenon, and plain and simple, it's densification.
Mm-hmm.
And what's troubling to me as I've researched this, it's happening in Republican states like Montana and Texas and others, and they're changing the zoning laws, and it's not to the benefit of the property owners. In Salt Lake City, it's happening at the municipal level. The city council has told the planning department come up with a plan, and as I understand it, the municipalities are doing it under pressure from the state legislatures who said, do something or we will do it. And these changes are all different from state to state, but they carry the same language. It's all under the premise that there's an underproduction of housing, which has been academically disproved and statistically disproved. It's densification, missing middle housing, smaller homes, small lot dwellings, eliminate barriers to home ownership, walkability, equity, of course. And this will affect, in Salt Lake City, 77% of the residential areas. And it's crazy. It's going to destroy property values. It's going to destroy the aesthetic of the city, and they don't care. And it's been rolled out quietly in Salt Lake City. The city's had these Potemkin-like presentations with no public Q&A. And I'm cobbling together a political opposition. I've canvassed my block. I've written a letter, my principled arguments to my councilmen, which 70% of the people on my block signed. I've had a follow-up meeting with the councilmen. I'm spreading the word. I'm trying to find like thinkers. I'm hoping you will do more segments on this issue because it's happening, as I said, all over the country. And I believe it needs legal challenges. I believe it's a regulatory taking, and I've talked to a lawyer about it, and I'm told this is a difficult legal case to make. And finally, I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'm asking if I can have a communication with you offline because I need help on building this political challenge and finding somebody who can do the legal challenge because I don't have the money to fight the government. So it needs to be pro bono.
Yeah, just email me, dan@danprof.com. Dan@danprof.com. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, no, the Illinois Build Act. I mean, this is just the latest quote-unquote affordable housing gambit from the anti-private property left. That's what it is. The latest approach. Though the Illinois Build Act didn't go anywhere in this session because it's an election year, don't think it won't be back when the same political power structure is in the same political positions and they're insulated from their reelection bids. It'll come back next year. Absolutely. By the way, on home prices, too, something that's interesting. A recent Federal Reserve working paper finds that unauthorized immigration, meaning illegal immigration, accounted for roughly 30% of the house price growth and 20% of rent growth. So in other words, 30% of home price increases, 20% of rent increases in the average metro area between 2021 and 2024. As that demand eases, so should price pressure because, of course, illegal immigration has been squelched and deportations are happening in earnest. As Zillow reports that national mortgage costs are at their best level since August of 2022, with affordability expected to improve in 49 of the 50 largest metro areas by year's end. I would say a combination of things. One is people moving away from some of these failed big cities, Chicago. And then the other piece of it is the immigration piece, but that's a real piece when you talk about immigration policy. And J.D. Vance and others have mentioned that too. I think we've had that conversation with Steve Moore as well, but that's a component part of it when you want to have conversations with these open borders ideologues, which is basically everybody in charge in Chicago and Illinois. Will in Skokie.
Good morning, Daniel. Yeah, the thing is with this Obama thing, I do draw inspections. I'm a home inspector, and draw inspections are when you go and you look and see how much work is done, and the bank pays you part of the money that they owe you. Where were the draw inspectors on this? Was it the interns going around with their little iPads, taking pictures? Why didn't they have professionals? The biggest thing of construction is management, and it doesn't look like they had management. Also, you got to remember, on the top floor of the Obama Center, there's a 3-bedroom condominium, luxury condominium, that who's going to live there? I mean, is it just going to be Obama and his family when they're in? They already got a home in Woodlawn. What is this all about? And is it just going to be something where, like the Clinton presidential library and massage parlor?
Yeah. It's gonna. Yeah, Valerie Jarrett's going to haunt it from up there like Phantom of the Opera. Thanks for the call, Will. Actually, Mike Owen, speaking of the inspections, you heard him suggest that they were told to work around the plumbing code, city plumbing code. There's also allegations of OSHA violations, too. So, maybe you get the federal government to do some look-sees where state and local won't for political reasons. Ron, Southside.
Dan, I've been listening to you, a very, very long time. This had to be one of your best weeks. And this is why I say that. This situation with Iran is very controversial and very complex. You brought on the best guest this week with great expertise, knowledge, and those on, different perspectives on how it's being played out. So I just want to thank you and really commend you, Dan, for being objective, being honest, and when you disagree with the president, you're not acting like some doofmaker. You're just trying to bring out the facts. So again, it's been very rewarding, very informative, and we all benefited from it. So thank you, and you have a wonderful weekend, Dan.
Well, thank you very much, Ron. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say. I'm glad that you got value. I try to get the broad cross-section of opinion and, hash it out. I have my viewpoints on things, but we'll hear everybody out. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, Dan. Happy Friday. So Verlon's my buddy, and we agree on a lot of stuff and disagree on a lot of stuff. I know I believe the term soccer to be an American term, which is fine. But, other than the idea of a soccer ball, I mean, you could just call the sport, if you want to call it a sport again, keep away. And you could use a dog's toy, and those guys could just be out there throwing the dog's toy at each other. You kick the ball 80 yards. It goes all the way down to the goalie. All the guys run down there like idiots, and then the dude turns around and kicks it 70 yards the other direction. I mean, if they could go ahead and tackle the goalie right before he's going to kick it, like blocking a field goal, maybe there'd be some value there. But they just let the guy turn around and kick it, and then they all admire how far he kicked it. Well, try kicking it when a dude's about to knock you on your ass, and then call it a sport.
Thanks for the call, Tom. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is sort of like keep away. Eduardo in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. A couple of short stories here on young people's low self-esteem. In Toronto, Eleanor Doney, 83-year-old, stabbed by a 14-year-old while breaking lead. And in Denver, a 24-year-old is mad, gets out of the restaurant because they're singing the national anthem. Unbelievable. Low self-esteem.
Thanks for the call, Eduardo. Will in Kane County.
Oh, hey, Dan. I have a question for you. If you were tired of politics, but you absolutely adored a particular radio show host, and you can't quit them, I can't quit you. What would you do? What would you do?
I don't want you to leave, Will.
I would, Dan. I would never leave you.
Will, you can, in the famous words of Enrique Iglesias, you can run, you can hide, but you can't escape my love. All right?
Oh, man, I wish I had a Julio Iglesias lyric for you prepared, but I'm a third shifter. I just got off of work. I'm like 3 beers deep in right now.
Nice.
But I was, I'm listening to the soccer thing. I'm Italian. I'm first generation American. If I could I didn't want to talk about that. I just wanted to, just say that I can't stop listening to you. It's kind of an addictive sort of OCD thing. But the soccer thing it's an international thing if you remove the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is. It's just, it's a soul, it's a passion, Now, I don't want to talk about Italy because Italy is just a hot mess. They haven't qualified sometimes in a row.
Why don't the Italians should follow the example of the Molinari brothers. Play some golf. Come on.
Dad, I like golf too because, I think it's a sport, but it has nothing to do, with me, golf has nothing to do with the actual trying to hit the ball. It's about waiting for the drink cart girl to come around.
Well, exactly. That's the nice thing about golf. That's the nice thing about golf. It doesn't interfere with your drinking. Exactly right.
And you have, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to set my cigar down, when I'm going to hit, and where I'm going to slice it, and whose ball I'm going to find in the bushes. But Dan, I love you. You're the best, and I'll never stop listening to you, even as tired as I am about the Jelly Belly and the Bears and just the General Assembly in general should disassemble. I don't know.
Thanks for the call, Will. Appreciate it. Yeah, stay tuned. Pop another one. Frank, Board of Trade.
I can say with some degree of pride that I've never changed a diaper.
Me neither. We have that in common. Thanks for the call, Frank. Apropos of nothing. That's what Open Mic Friday is for. Apropos of nothing. Lou in Western PA, but it's got to be quick, Lou.
Hey, Dad, I'll shorten this. Have you ever thought of making Open Mic Friday 4 hours? You could do it.
I don't know if I can nail that much crack pottery. Okay.
You could.
All right.
You're good.
Thanks for
Real good.
Thanks for the call, Lou. Appreciate it. I'm going to give Chuck a little extra time. Chuck in Delavan, Wisconsin.
Hey, thanks for mentioning my high school band, AI Systems. Sunday, 1 to 4, Deusterbeck's Brewery in Delavan. D-Like Duo. Hopefully the farmer next door isn't spraying liquid cow manure or our eyes would be watering. Happy Father's Day to all your listeners, Dan. You got a great show.
Thanks for the call, Chuck, and happy Father's Day to everybody. I did want to mention one point of personal privilege, the passing of Tom Donovan, Richard Daley's former patron-in-chief, former Chicago Board of Trade president. I knew him later in life, past politics, when he was done. He had started a tech company called Quantum Crossings, I think. Anyway, he invited me. He listened to me on the radio, invited me to lunch at his business one time, and that became a thing. And he was involved with the City Club, and he was trying to expand the discussion and get viewpoints like from conservatives like myself included in the civic dialogue in the city. That has now since been reversed, but he was a fun guy to talk to, great guy to talk to. He was trying to improve the quality of our politics and political discourse, and he'll be missed. Rest in peace, Tom Donovan. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
Well, this is something the U.S. and Iran will like. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A new ceasefire for Israel in Lebanon that just went into effect an hour ago, and Hezbollah is agreeing to abide by it.
This ceasefire was brokered, according to a U.S. official, by the Qatari government as well as with help from Iran. Of course, though, Iran has been